Fantastic. Beyond expectation. Call First Mark. They treat you like a real person, that they have your best interest in mind.
Norm did it. My family did it. You got to do it. And it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you like they did Norm, and how much better your coverage will get to. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory I get to talk to. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. First Mark Insurance. They work for you.
Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Peter King. A judge has ordered ICE to release a college student detained for taking part in pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Here's CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen.
A federal judge in New Jersey ordered that Columbia University student activist Mahmoud Khalil must be released from detention by Immigration and Customs Enforcement as his immigration proceedings play out. During a hearing before U.S. District Judge Michael Farbars, Khalil's attorneys asked for him to free Khalil from detention or transfer him to New Jersey. Farbars agreed, determining that Khalil is not a threat to the community, not a flight risk, and that his detention has been, quote, highly unusual.
A Supreme Court win for the Trump administration on tariffs, and here's legal analyst Lori Levinson.
The Supreme Court issued an order today that says that they are not going to fast track any challenges to President Trump's use of tariffs. Trump has used these tariffs as what he calls an emergency measure under an act. But the challenge to this is that it should be Congress deciding on tariffs.
New Yorkers have a couple of days to get ready for extreme heat on this first weekend of summer, but Governor Kathy Hochul says starting Sunday,
it feels like temperatures will approach 100 degrees. This is so unusual for all of us.
Much of the East could see the century mark. Columbia, South Carolina Dr. Amanda Stratton says, watch out for this.
Signs and symptoms of heat stroke are confusion or altered mental status. Sometimes people can be unconscious. A lot of times they stop sweating. Heat stroke is an emergency, so it's important if you notice somebody with these symptoms to call 911.
There have been no more words on Iran from President Trump since his press secretary said he'd give it up to 2 weeks before deciding whether the U.S. should join Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear sites. CBS's Vicki Barker on talks that are just starting in Geneva.
These are the first face-to-face talks between Western and Iranian officials since the outbreak of the war. Britain's Foreign Minister David Lammy, flying into Geneva straight from meetings in Washington, says there's now a 2-week window to find a diplomatic solution.
The Trump administration says California educators can no longer teach anything having to do with gender identity. CBS's Alexander Tin.
California has 60 days to comply with an order issued by the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, telling the state to change its sex ed curriculum, stripping out all mentions of what the Trump administration is calling, quote, radical gender ideology in the federally funded personal responsibility education program. The Trump administration says that federal laws governing the program does not allow teaching students that, quote, boys can identify as girls or vice versa.
On Wall Street, the Dow has lost 20 points and the NASDAQ is down 120. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Seattle police say 2 domestic violence suspects shot at them in separate scenes this morning. How both cases ended coming up. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, In Renton, a disabled vehicle is blocking a lane on I-405 near Northeast 44th Street. In Seattle, a crash is blocking at least one lane on I-5 southbound at Northgate Way. You are slow off and on all the way up to Shoreline. Travel time ever to Seattle is 44 minutes, about 10 longer than usual. And you're slow along JBLM. Travel time Tacoma to Olympia, an hour and 15 minutes. That's 20 longer than typical. Traffic brought to you by KIRO Newsradio.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. A domestic violence suspect is dead after a standoff with Seattle police at a home in the Madison Park neighborhood. Chief Sean Barnes says police were called to the house this morning.
Officers responded 4 minutes later and discovered a female in the front yard who ran to the officer's arms. The female collapsed and we discovered that she had been shot.
She is expected to recover. Officers say the suspect shot at them. At least one cop returned fire. Hours later, they found the man dead in the home. It's unclear if he died from an officer's bullet or a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And Seattle police confronted a second domestic violence suspect this morning, this time in the Rainier Valley.
Police say he shot a gun at officers. An officer then tased him. And then the man shot again before going on the run. Neighbors heard the chaos.
We were just laying in bed and then we heard 2 shots and then heard 2 more shots.
Officers found that suspect who then jumped into Lake Washington. That cold water was just too much for him, letting police arrest him about 30 minutes later. Gwen Baumgartner, KIRO News Radio.
A memorial will be held tonight for 3 Wenatchee girls who were found dead at a campsite near Leavenworth after a scheduled visit with their dad. KIRO 7 TV's Brooke Griffin is in Central Washington with more.
The public memorial service is tonight at 7 o'clock here at Rocky Reach Park in Wenatchee. Organizers say everybody is welcome to attend, but you do need to bring your own chair or blanket to sit on. They also suggest bringing glow sticks and safe candles as well. The girls' family members, friends, and leaders of their clubs and hobbies are all expected to speak.
Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia were picked up by their father, Travis Decker, 4 weeks ago today. He is still on the loose. One of the state's most scenic highways has reopened near Bellingham. It's been nearly 60 days since a rock slide took out a portion of Chuckanut Drive. WashDOT's RB McKeon.
Some cool people called geotechs went out there and they actually rappelled down and they had to map out a plan of all the loose places where they needed to reinforce the walls.
Once that was done, crews were able to safely remove 3,600 tons of boulders, some the size of cars. Frontier Airlines has landed at Payne Field, launching commercial flights from Everett. Nonstop routes to Denver, Las Vegas, and Phoenix take off twice a week. Alaska Airlines also has service from Payne Field. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with a few showers and highs around 60. It's 59 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
It is the Jake and Spike Show, but it's Greg and Angela Poe Russell in today. Good afternoon, everybody, on this glorious Friday afternoon here in the Puget Sound area. Angela Poe Russell, Greg Tomlin.
Yes,
we have met in person off the air, but never on the air had a chance to spend 3 hours together. So I'm looking forward to the show today, Angela.
Same. Good afternoon to you. This is kind of our first date.
It is
it's
a little
our first date,
right?
Our first time kind of getting in the ring.
Yes, in the life of a guest host, it's a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? They throw you in there and you go, hey, got to get to know you and then converse with you for 3 hours. I'm really excited. I've listened to you on other shows on KIRO before, and so yeah, chomping at the bit to get into some discussions over some weighty subjects today, some lighthearted subjects, and everything in between. Where to start? My goodness, have you followed this story that involves this ferry terminal and this car that was out of control? A tragic story. Was it near Edmonds? Someone was on the loose, traveling up to speeds of 120 miles an hour, evading police, and it all ends in the waters of the Puget Sound. Very tragically, 2 people died, and this 29-year-old man driver survived. What's your take on this, Angela?
I have to tell you, when I first heard this story and I heard that there was someone going 120 miles per hour, I thought, this cannot be the first time they've done this. I said, they can't. Yeah. I mean, that was just me, that's bedroom talk with my significant other, having that conversation. And lo and behold, I get to work and there's a report from King 5. And they basically say that this person had 17 other arrests. 17?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the problem. And let me take it to the next level. The person's identity has not been revealed. Now, I get it's a suspect. And so we do have a justice system in our country of that you are innocent until proven guilty. So I hold that, especially as a journalist. Like, I value that. At the same time, I worry that we've overcorrected to a point where we can't call a thing a thing.
Yeah, point well taken. And is it just a consideration of doing due diligence and best practices here, not rushing to get the name out? But I, like you, was struck by the 17 prior arrests point of the story. This person appears like he's the poster child for a repeat offender. This is a senseless tragedy that did not need to take place. If our system was not so lenient on frequent offenders, this is someone who appears to commit crimes in a chronic way. Why is it not easier to keep someone like this off the streets, literally and figuratively? Some of these past arrests included attempting to elude police in 2019 and reckless driving in 2018. I just don't get it. If I had a nickel for every time we talked about repeat offenders here on KIRO Radio, I'd probably have about $3. I don't want to exaggerate, but that's still a lot, right?
Right.
That's dozens and dozens of times. And time and again, it appears that some of the worst crime or tragic incidents that happen in this area are caused by repeat offenders. Just a small percentage of people that we can't get under control for some reason. And it would seem to me like there's a lot of chatter in this day and age about making common sense great again. Shouldn't penalties that are accrued over time then see worse and worse penalties and be more punitive as we go along? What happened to 3 strikes, you're out? Maybe that's too little. Maybe it's 6 strikes, you're out. But 17 past offenses? This is someone who has showed no intent to stop their bad activities whatsoever. And now it's ended in this horrific tragedy.
That could have been so much worse. I mean, in this case, the people who were injured, the ones who lost their lives, they were people in the car with him. But there could have been, people hit along the road. When you're going that fast and driving so recklessly, allegedly, well, like I said, we have our words that we have to use for reasons that I value. Sure. In this case, it is a fact that the speed was above the speed limit, well above, and went into this area you normally don't go. What I appreciate about what you said, Greg, is that you mentioned the 3 strikes out, because I think 3 strikes you're out. And I think a lot of people agreed in some cases it was not reasonable. It was too much. The punishment didn't fit the crime. And so I like that you are open to maybe something in the middle.
Well, it's like never underestimate Americans' abilities to overcorrect, right? And I think maybe there was an understanding that, okay, 3 strikes, you're out. Is that too harsh? Okay. But now we've gotten to the point where it feels like, and yes, perception matters, that it's sort of a free-for-all for people that want to commit offense after offense. I don't know if you heard the King 5 interview with one of the daughters of the woman who died in this incident, but it's extremely difficult to listen to, just witnessing and seeing and hearing the grief and the sadness that this young girl is overcome with. And the thought in the back of both of our minds, it seems to be, is that this could have been entirely preventable had our system worked a little better.
Absolutely. Well said.
It's a recurring theme, Angela, time and again.
Totally. And now, look, before we move on, I have another question for you and for everyone listening. So feel free to text. I'll give the number in a moment. Where should we exist when it comes to when we release the name of a suspect? And I know, think about it. So in the case like this, do we wait until they're formally charged? Do you wait? I mean, some people who have been accused of things come back later and say, unless you're going to cover the end of the trial, we shouldn't because sometimes people are accused and they're charged and they go through a trial and they're found not guilty.
Sure.
And then these days, what makes journalism so different from when I first started back in 1990s
That's before the earth cooled. Yeah.
Wow.
No,
wow.
You were joking about it, so I had to go to the next level.
Okay, I'm learning a little bit about you. But, back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet in a way that stuff lived forever.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you have a person that is accused and we release the name before they are charged, or even if they're charged and not guilty, then it likely is going to live forever. So text us. Let us know what you think. 888-973-5476. Do you have a gut reaction to it?
Well, you've heard the adage, a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its shoes on in the morning, right? And so I think there is grounds for caution because so oftentimes we hear the initial reporting about a story, and I would venture a guess that maybe 15 to 20% of people then follow up on it. And so if you get that, first out there with the information, that's usually the thought or the takeaway people are permanently left with.
Yeah.
And so where is that fine line? Where is that balance? I'm not so sure. I'm sure they have systems and data on this.
But viscerally, I want to know.
But viscerally, of course.
I want to know. Give me the name.
Absolutely. Right. Because you want to put the blame on someone here for a
Right.
terrible tragedy like this that was senseless. All right, from that sad story to Pervert Park or Lewdlandia. I don't know. Pick your alliterative term of choice.
Did you come up with that, Lewdlandia?
Lewdlandia.
Dude.
Not bad, right?
That's pretty good.
I love alliteration. So otherwise known as Denny Blaine Park. And I realized this today, or I researched this, that Denny Blaine Park was named after Albert F. Blaine and Charles L. Denny, who might be rolling in their grave now if they knew what this park had become. But apparently it's a hub for criminal activity. It's not a place that I frequent. It's allegedly full of public onanism, sex acts, drug abuse, and harassment. And there's a neighborhood group is asking a King County judge to temporarily shut down this park. And that they say the city has failed to enforce the laws, effectively abandoned the park to a group of, here's that term of the day, repeat offenders. Angela, did you know prior to this story about Denny Blaine Park about rules, regulations, laws about public decency, public nudity in and around the city of Seattle? Because I was ignorant to this previously.
When I moved here in 2009, I learned within 24 hours that we had different rules here.
Oh, okay.
We are different
We're not
than
in
other
Kansas
parts
anymore?
of the country. Yeah, I was not in Kansas anymore. And while rules or laws might exist, we necessarily don't always. We had an au pair from another country. We had one from Mexico, one from Venezuela, and they said, I just love it here. You can just be you. You can just do whatever, and no one cares. That was the perception.
How far do you want to take that? Yeah, right.
Right. So let me give what I know about this park leading up to this latest action, which we'll talk about in a minute, is that it had been this refuge, this safe place for members of the LGBTQ community to go hang out with each other. You can, some people like to be on the beach nude or with little on, and that was okay. And then somehow along the way, a few people came and have tried to mess it up for them. That's what it sounds like. Because I don't believe, and I want to leave space for the fact that we haven't visited there, right? Unless we haven't gone in person.
I take the neighbor's word for it. I don't need to go witness with thine own eyes.
We have not gone to investigate, but maybe that's a challenge for us, Greg, to go investigate.
I'm good.
So we can see this firsthand for the benefit of you all listening. And so I like the idea of communities having spaces to go where it's like, you know what, hey, you can go here and not have to wear a swimsuit and hang out. Like, that's cool. Uh-oh, are you getting triggered by my... Okay, let me finish and then you can jump in.
Sure.
So I'm actually for those kinds of spaces.
Okay.
But when it gets to the point where you cannot keep everyone in the community playing by the rules and you're impacting other people, I don't like it.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. I don't agree with strip clubs, but they have a right to exist. However, I do have a problem that some of these clubs will have these loud billboards simulating acts, and then I have to walk down the street and see it. Now, they would argue that it's their First Amendment right to show this or whatever, but what about my right to walk down the street and not have to look at it?
Right.
So I'm kind of holding both of those things. I just wanted to acknowledge that it was operating pretty well for many years until recently.
Well, yeah, and I think it's because if you, I don't want to I want to choose my words carefully here.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you give people an inch, they'll take a yard, right? And so if there's this atmosphere of, hey, we sort of push the envelope here at this space and got no repercussions, then we'll push the envelope a little bit further. And like, there's a constant testing in society of where the line is, right? And we just alluded to this in our last story with the 17 previous offenses. And we're all wondering, where's the line with repeat offenders? And humanity will always go up to the line and go, oh, that's where I'm getting resistance or pushback. Okay, I need to draw it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so clearly there is a feeling or an atmosphere or an environment here at Denny Blaine Park of anything goes. Well, why do you believe that? Well, because no one's told us to stop. The long arm of the law hasn't come down on us and made us quit these activities. And so we'll keep doing what we're doing. Which I have some cognitive biases here because I'm practically a never nude, right? So you could say that I have
Free yourself, Greg. Free yourself.
Free yourself. Look, I did not know this, but apparently if you have exhibitionist-like tendencies, it is perfectly legal to like ride a bike naked to work in Seattle. With no penalties whatsoever coming your way.
You can ride a bike to work naked?
You could ride a bike to work naked. Now, okay, hold on. Don't take this as gospel, okay? Greg Tomlin got me in trouble, guest host KIRO Radio. And when I tried this and I got busted, I consulted with Google AI. And maybe you say that's dicey. You want to be careful when you do that.
But you gave us context, so what did Google AI say?
Yeah, so Google AI says, you could actually walk around the city naked if you wanted to. Now, if you went on a city block and then did 3 circles around that block naked, the authorities might have a case against you that's an excessively lewd act that is against the law. So do you see the amount of gray area we're working with here, which maybe is the reason that Denny Blaine Park has gotten so out of hand here?
That's a good point. You know, when I first moved here, the other clue that things were different, and I wasn't in Kansas, was the Fremont Bike Parade.
Yep.
I mean, I was living in Wallingford, and, I had young kids. And I was like, oh, okay. And so to celebrate the solstice, there's a whole parade of people naked on bicycles. Now, they do creatively body paint themselves, so you can't sometimes tell see specific things. So I actually enjoyed the festival and the tradition. It didn't. I felt like most people were, I don't know. I just saw it as fun. It's not my jam to do it, but I saw it as fun. A couple of things I just want to point out about this story for everyone who's following it. Because I was just like, okay, are the neighbors just wanting this for something else? Or the neighbors but it sounds like there was evidence that was turned in. There was video evidence, incident logs, photos, stuff like that. And then there's an organization, Friends of Denny Blaine, and apparently it's a nudist-friendly advocacy group. And this was according to, was this My Northwest? No, this was on the Jason Ranch show that reported this. I just want to give proper credit to everybody.
Yep.
And I guess they did a poll that found nearly 50% of their followers had witnessed like sex acts in the park and other things that we may not want to mention on the radio. So it turns out this is a problem, but here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
If you're the mayor of Seattle and you're up for re-election, we have a strong LGBTQ community in Seattle, and you've got, other folks, this coalition of homeowners saying, hey, do something about it. You're the mayor. What do you do?
Well, that's exactly right. And it's a pertinent question. And sometimes you have to make a tough call rather than deferring and not taking action in any way. You have to make the tough decisions as mayor instead of waffling and just say, well, I don't know, I'm going to play both sides of this or just kind of let it go and not really address it. That's going to further anger people. Sometimes you have to take a side, right? Here's what I think he might be considering is the sensitivity of this issue that you mentioned, the proper context for the historicity of this park and the history of treatment to the LGBTQ community. I don't think it might be far from the mayor's thoughts that he's thinking about, I don't know, the Stonewall riots of and how bad that looked when authorities came in and busted up, what was it, a gay bar or a gay gathering place or something like that. And now that's gone down in history and we remember it, 50 some years later. I don't think he wants to be seen as the mayor who's coming in again with law and authority figures and busting up this place and the potential optics of that. And I think maybe he's making that calculation. Nevertheless, I think it needs to be done strictly because of the abundance of evidence of over-the-top illegal, lewd behavior that's going on. I'm sorry, live in the year we're living in, 2025, and that's not acceptable by any interpretation of the law.
Yeah. And
so make the hard decision, Mayor.
Okay. All right. That's good advice for him. So where this stands now, I guess to wrap it up, this neighborhood group, I guess it's in a King County judge's hands. Is that am I understanding that correctly? It'll be a judge that kind of, because this group is basically saying, hey, we want this temporarily shut down. Right. So as the world turns on Lewdlandia, alleged Lewdlandia.
Greg Tomlin, I like that. Well played. Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show. We're just getting started. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll talk a little bit about Juneteenth and all the festivities regarding that federal holiday next. And also a tough season for Washington cherry growers who are struggling to find pickers. We have all the details on that. Stick around. We will be right back.
KIRO News Radio, the Northwest's trusted news source.
Get the latest from KIRO News Radio's James Lynch.
It happened Wednesday morning just after 6 o'clock.
Experienced voices you trust.
Several people hurt after a violent Saturday in Pierce County.
Coverage you depend on.
More from KIRO News Radio's Matt Markovich.
It's as close to a veto warning as you could possibly get.
KIRO News Radio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.
If you want that summer body you've always dreamed of, then this message is for you, ladies, and you men, too. Get rid of extra stubborn fat and address areas of loose skin around the waistline, chin, and under the upper arms with ProSculpt, the new one-day instant permanent fat removal and skin tightening treatment. Maybe you've tried the lasers, fat-freezing methods, even those new pills, but without the desired results. ProSculpt is different. It's minimally invasive, performed while fully awake, gentle, yet powerful. Designed to target the waistline, chin, neck, arms, and thighs, ProSculpt uses FDA-cleared plasma technology to deliver immediate, permanent fat-reducing and skin-tightening results, all in just one visit. If you want that summer body this summer, then you must act now. Go to ProSculpt.com today to schedule your free consultation. Get $250 off. For instant, permanent fat reduction and skin tightening, visit ProSculpt.com.
Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle with ease. With Navy Federal's car buying service, powered by TrueCar, you can find the vehicle that's right for you as you search through inventory and compare models. And you could get an amazing rate when you finance with Navy Federal. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Annie's first oil change wasn't as hard as she thought because she went to AutoZone, where a friendly AutoZoner helped her find the right oil and save on an oil filter. He explained the job and showed her free how-tos on AutoZone.com. When she was done, AutoZone recycled her old oil for free. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 62225, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
At Dunn, relationships are everything. It's why we build a culture around building the best relationships possible, building joy and trust, one interaction at a time. So whether you need trusted advice, help with material selection, project planning, or loading your vehicle, we go the extra mile to remove as much of the hassle as we can. If there's anything we can do to serve you better, contact me personally, Mike Dunn at dunlumber.com.
Dunn Lumber. Building success together. With Clear Choice dental implants, one day can make the difference between hiding your smile and saying cheese. Thanks to our dental implant experts, our one-day teeth transformation culminates in your Clear Choice Day, the day when you start loving your smile again. Visit clearchoice.com or call 888-SMILE-05 to schedule your free consultation today. And let us help Seattle start smiling again.
Majority qualify for same-day dental implants after doctor recommendation. Offices owned by Dr. Alfonso Pinheiro.
Smoked paprika in your go-to goulash? That's go-go goulash. Sometimes a different way is the better way. Like the SR 509 Expressway, an alternate route that'll help manage congestion and provide better access to SeaTac. Open soon, free through summer.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. After a 6-hour standoff, a domestic violence suspect whom police say shot at Seattle cops is dead. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has more from the Madison Park neighborhood.
Investigators will now determine if the suspect died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound or if he was shot by a Seattle police officer. Just before 5 a.m., 3 officers responded to a domestic violence 911 call. Chief Sean Barnes says the female victim ran into those officers' arms. Hours after failed attempts to negotiate with the 53-year-old suspect, a SWAT team entered the house and found him dead. The victim is in stable condition. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
And a suspect is in custody after a second domestic violence case in Seattle this morning, which also prompted officers to open fire. Police say the 33-year-old man tried to make a run for it and jumped into the water near Pritchard Island Beach in South Seattle. This neighbor says he heard 4 shots.
And then looked out, and I seen about 20 police cars come down through.
The man eventually gave up. No one was injured by gunfire. There are new concerns that the conflict between Iran and Israel could spill into the U.S. CBS's Jennifer Jacobs explains.
As President Trump is contemplating potential U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, law enforcement officials have stepped up surveillance of Iran-backed operatives in the United States. Multiple sources told CBS News that FBI Director Kash Patel has increased efforts to monitor possible domestic sleeper cells linked to Hezbollah. Jennifer Jacobs, CBS News, the White House.
More than 100 million Americans are under heat alerts. Phoenix, Arizona hit a record-shattering 117 degrees yesterday.
I can't walk the dog. The dog's mad at me because she can't go for anywhere at this point.
Definitely it can make things a little bit more depressing. You just want to stay inside all day. You don't really want to do anything because it's so hot outside.
Just contemplate that as you consider this. Temperatures here in the Puget Sound region will stay around 60 today with showers. Meteorologist Dustin Guy.
Friday evening through Saturday morning is probably going to be the wettest period. So if you've got any outdoor plans during that 24-hour period especially, it's going to be rather damp.
It is expected to warm up early next week. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 19 points, NASDAQ off 124. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, in Renton, crews are investigating a possible chlorine leak that's near the intersection of Sunset Boulevard North and 405. Expect some traffic delays there. In Seattle, a crash is blocking at least one lane on I-5 southbound to Northgate Way. You're slow off and on up to Shoreline. Travel time ever to Seattle is 46 minutes, about 10 longer than typical. And you are very slow along JBLM. Travel time Tacoma to Olympia is an hour and a half, about half an hour longer than usual. Traffic brought to you by KIRO Newsradio. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with a few showers and highs around 60. It's 59 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So yesterday was Juneteenth, our most recently implemented federal holiday signed into law by Joseph R. Biden in 2021. There are now 11 federal holidays, Angela. And I have a question for you. As a 42-year-old white dude who's just trying to understand the holiday and what it means for the future of the country and celebrations and recognitions, how does someone like me celebrate Juneteenth? Or what should I do to acknowledge it? Or what should I do for an activity? Because I think, and this is an honest question, because I think of Memorial Day, there's barbecues that happen, right? We get together and we remember the fallen and we kind of say we acknowledge their service, and they'd want to be having a barbecue with us if they were still here today. So we celebrate the lives that they lived and the heroes that they were. For New Year's Day, it's kind of a day for relaxation when the new year comes in, and you have Thanksgiving with the turkey. Okay, so Juneteenth, right?
Yes.
Did you celebrate? Did you acknowledge it yesterday? What did you do? What should I do?
I did. We had a blast. And absolutely, for someone like you, there's so many different events. And I think taking you and your family to one would be so great. The African American Museum in Seattle had an all-day affair, and it was, they had soccer clinics. They had the rain there. They had art. It was just like an epic festival. And on top of fun for the kids, so there was tons of stuff for kids to do, there were also opportunities to learn and, conversations they were having, panels you could go check into. So you could literally just look at their agenda and pick your own experience. So it was great. And let's see, I went to the City of Seattle celebration, which once again had art, opportunities to learn about different things. So it's a combination of learning and have some fun. And cookout is always part of the deal.
Yes. Okay. So you alluded to the cookout there. So I was thinking, and you might say, Greg, you have a blind spot here with this question, or that's insensitive. I'm totally willing to hear that. Okay. But I was thinking, again, just trying to understand the new federal holiday and what I can do going forward to acknowledge it in a better way. I was thinking St. Patrick's Day, right? Mm-hmm. We all get together. A lot of people, cook corned beef and have guineas. Cinco de Mayo, we have margaritas, and we celebrate all things Mexican culture and things like that.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to have Juneteenth be kind of a day of, yes, learning, but also like a celebration of Black cuisine, of jazz music, of hip hop, for all the innovations and inventions and contributions of Black culture to America? Or does that look unseemly, unsavory when a white dude in his mid-40s is... Would that be considered like a co-opting, or what's the term I'm looking for?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm saying?
I'm forgetting. Yeah, no, everyone may have different opinions on this.
Yeah.
For me, if you're coming from a genuine place of celebrating, then and you're also supporting in terms of you go to a business, like a Black-owned business that's selling this type of food, or if you decide to cook it yourself and you're doing it in an honorable and respectful way, I see nothing wrong with that.
I'm trying to think this through a little bit. I wonder if it's because, if I'm hesitant to sort of lean into that idea more, because of the history of weaponization of elements of Black culture that could be then sort of misinterpreted or misconstrued a certain way.
Yeah, we live in a world now where you can just get canceled like that.
Right? For one picture.
For one picture, one thing. And it's like, I mean, I like the idea. I know people have weaponized the politically correct, and everything's PC. And I think there's some wisdom in being mindful about what you do and what you say. I don't think that's a bad thing. I also think it's important to give people grace, because if people are trying to figure it out, then let's give them grace. Like, I think a lot of people, especially in our age group, we've had to learn about, various pronouns or how people identify. I mean, how maybe in some cases, what does consent look like after the Me Too movement? And so whether you agree or regardless of whether you stand on them, if someone's genuinely trying to learn versus coming at it with hate and disregard, I think those are two different energies, and we should give grace for that. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's really well said. And I think the key element to that is good faith and trust.
Yes.
Right? So someone is not acting in bad faith, or I was recently made hip to the term when you're asking a question, you could have a covert agenda within the question, and it's in the way you phrase a question. It's like it's under the disguise of wanting to know more, but you really have a point of view that's implicit in the way you're questioning it, kind of thing.
Absolutely. And, I just want to center for a moment why, in my opinion, Juneteenth is for everyone.
Yeah.
Because, we have our Independence Day on July 4th, and everyone wasn't free in our country during that time. Juneteenth is when, the enslaved people in Galveston, Texas found out that, news had traveled that we actually are free and can go. They were encouraged to stay and work for their owners and is elected to go leave and find their families. Many of them have been separated. So this is like a day where we were not living under a law that enslaved people. Like, we were all free. We were all free. Well, and I think that's something that's worth celebrating.
It's when the American idea was further realized. We're in this constant pushing forward of making this a more perfect union, and the ideals that the founders set out, they weren't perfect at the founding, as we well know, right? But the idea itself was so beautiful and worth aspiring to, and there's been a lot of growing pains over 250 years. And the original sin of slavery is right at the top of that list. Have you been following the Trump administration's sort of handling of all things Juneteenth? It's been really fascinating because Donald Trump was a big proponent, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of making this a federal holiday. It didn't get accomplished until he left office, and then Congress passed it into a law. But he was rather silent on it this year, which I found interesting.
It was definitely strange, and apparently he was supposed to do a proclamation, regarding Juneteenth. And when reporters asked his spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, like, hey, what's going on? She basically evaded the question and was like, basically it's not going to happen. But what was odd, because look, I can understand. Actually, I don't understand, but I could see where he might say, you know what, if I put something out based on everything that's going on in the world right now, I'll probably get a lot of heat for that.
That's a charitable interpretation.
Yeah,
of what
you see where I'm trying to
sure.
Yeah. But why did you have to go on social media and complain about too many federal holidays? To me,
on that of all days, right?
So you know what? Clearly his view has evolved, or he never really had that view in the first place, and it was just performative. It was just something to do.
I think what could be said of Trump at this hour is that he feels unencumbered and uninhibited more than he ever has been in the past. And perhaps a very cynical take on this is when he was looking for re-election in 2019 through 2020, he was trying to build a bigger base. Juneteenth was a popular notion within the black community. Maybe he was trying to win more black votes or bring him more under the MAGA umbrella. And now that he's won a second term, he doesn't feel like he needs to do that as much with various groups. It's just more unfiltered Trump. I'm saying what I want. I don't care. Maybe he thinks he's a lame duck. I don't know if he truly believes he's going to run for a third term or not. But would you kind of agree with that the version we're seeing of Trump 2.0 is a much more authentic, unfiltered Trump than ever before? Or do you think he's always been exactly this?
Well, listen, I said it when he first got elected. because we broke up with him. I mean, he was not reelected, right? We broke up. So imagine you break up with someone and then you say, well, you know what? I think I do want to take you back. How often does that really work? I mean, in terms of the person behaving better, because they're like, oh, you took me back. So I'm in. Let's go.
Well, that's why I think he's doubling down on some of his more impulsive behavior. Like, I don't care what the consequences are. They invited me back into this. Now I'm...
Yep.
Yeah.
You heard some people never take back the ex because they're bitter.
Greg Tomlin, Angela Poe Russell in for the Jake and Spike Show. Lots more coming up on a busy afternoon. Stick around on KIRO Radio 97.3 FM.
KIRO News Radio is right there with you.
A big story developing this morning
on your smart speaker before you head out the door.
Get the latest live from KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
Huge impacts for Boeing and Boeing workers.
The office, the gym, anywhere.
Water, like taxes, goes all the way down to the bottom, so it'll either come out of the employee's paycheck or the lack of raise.
KIRO News Radio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
You just invested in new gutter guards to keep the junk out. So why are they clogged with moss and gunk? Well, here's the missing link between just any gutter guards and ones that actually work. You see, most gutter guards, sure, they stop leaves, but they don't stop what grows on them. Moss, algae, grime, they take over, turning your new gutter guards into a plugged, soggy mess. And that's where Moss Eater's gutter guards come in. They're changing the game. It's the only gutter guard with copper-infused tech. That means moss, algae, and gunk won't grow on it. It's like having a built-in Moss Eater on your home. And look, at Moss Eaters, we're not just going to install your guards and then let you fend for yourself. No, we're going to maintain your roof, too. Because a clean roof and clog-free gutters means no water, no leaks, and no stress. Get the only gutter guard that truly fights back. Call Moss Eaters at 206-531-7800 or visit mosseaters.com today. That's 206-531-7800 or online at mosseaters.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck. And she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This could be the oddest gift anyone's ever given me.
But I'll bet you use it.
When the time is right, I suppose.
That's the idea.
A plunger.
An Apollo plumbing plunger.
Free for me?
Actually, free to everyone we visit.
Because?
We believe some things you can do on your own.
And if this plunger can't fix it?
Apollo Plumbing will.
Just like that.
You call, we come. It's fixed.
Wouldn't you rather I just call?
You're welcome to.
Okay.
But for a simple backup?
Something I can solve myself?
Try your free plunger.
I'll admit it's kind of spiffy.
Apply a little pressure.
And if it still won't clear?
Call Apollo Plumbing.
The ready right now plumbers.
Our big blue trucks come stocked full of fixes.
And a plunger wielding plumber.
A clean screen trained and trustworthy Apollo plumber.
They come in a jiffy.
Arriving when promised to put plumbing problems in your past.
And give me a free plunger.
That too.
You know, I kind of like this plunger.
I'm sure it'll come in handy.
Just like Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well,
I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Kick off your 4th of July weekend with a Mariners fireworks show at Seattle's summer home, T-Mobile Park. It's a Mariners patriotic party. Thursday, July 3rd, presented by T-Mobile. Fly ball right field. Sailing back. Gone! Legend Cal Raleigh. Catch Cal and the crew take on the Royals at 7:10. Then stick around as the sky explodes with red, white, and boom. Fireworks and Mariners baseball. That's 2 spectacular shows in one unforgettable night.
J.P. Crawford with a walk-off single. Holy smokes, what a finish.
Lock in your seats now at mariners.com/fireworks and check out the full fireworks lineup this summer, including an 80s night on July 18th and Show Tunes theme on August 1st. Plus, don't miss big-time giveaways like patriotic trucker hats on July 4th and J.P. Crawford basketball jerseys on July 5th. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
This week at Dimitro's Jazz Alley, iconic guitarist Bill Frisell returns with his trio, featuring Thomas Morgan and Rudy Royston. Catch 4 nights of genre-defying jazz, June 19th through the 22nd. Tickets at jazzalley.com.
There's a sink at the brink and a drain that's a pain.
Dayandnight.net.
Your old water heater, she's starting to peter.
Dayandnight.net.
Plumbing emergency? Don't feel trapped. Do the smart thing and get a second opinion. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. I guarantee you, whether Day and Night is your first choice or smart second opinion, we'll work harder than anyone to earn your trust.
Dayandnight.net.
Andrew, loving the hits today. Is this something from the 1980s or is this a modern song that feels like 1984?
It's a modern song with a nostalgic feel.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
One of my all-time favorite genres.
Are you? So you're a music person?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
so-
Absolutely.
So you're feeling this next topic?
Feeling this groove, yeah. Yeah, and believe it or not, we're going to get into a musical you saw last night. I played Rolf in Sound of Music my junior year of high school. It's a small high school. Small, right? Let's not give me too many accolades. And then I was the lead in South Pacific, another Rodgers and Hammerstein play. But you saw an offering last night that you wanted to talk about, you were very excited about. And so, yeah, I wanted to give you an opportunity to sing praises of a production that you witnessed last night.
Yeah,
So
and just to be clear, you guys, I have no vested interest in this. It's just I'm sharing it because it was amazing. And it's a musical, and it's called, I love it for 2 reasons. So reason number 1, it was unbelievably entertaining and inspiring and all the things. It's called Here and There. There, spelled Their, because it's about a woman who's like in her 30s and has an identity crisis and realizes, you know what, I am never really felt like a girl and I am non-binary.
Oh, okay.
And so now a little about me. I have no connection. Like I know my gender is female. Like I don't have a connection personally in terms of this type of, I don't know what you call like this type of scenario. But I found myself incredibly connected to the message and the story. And it was a great opportunity to immerse myself in someone else's world and someone else's experience. So first, and then it's a rock musical. So it's rock music.
Okay.
And it's just, oh my gosh, amazing.
How'd you hear about it? How'd you
I got
come across
invited.
it?
I got
Okay.
invited from the theater I work with. They said, hey, we're going to go see this. Here's the other reason why I'm rooting for this story. Is they couldn't find anyone to produce it locally. So they were like, you know what? We're going to stop asking for permission and do this ourselves. And so they fundraised. And this show had won, in its early iterations, had won awards and been finalists for things. So they fundraised and made it happen and produced this show. And it is, and it's playing at 12th Avenue Arts. Tickets are like all under $50, so you can go and check it out. And it only runs till the end of the month. And I think this one is going to be, my prediction, I think it's going to be big. It's because regardless of your life experience, I think you will see yourself in this person.
Okay. So which begs the question, and I really like the key point you made, which is art almost has an uncanny ability to increase empathy in people, right?
Yes.
I think that's one of the most powerful things that it does. So for someone like me, Angela, I'll just put all my cards on the table.
Yeah, you're like, no.
This doesn't sound like something that I would enjoy.
Right?
Okay?
Yep.
It goes against a lot of my preconceived notions, belief systems, and ideology and stuff like that. But I want you to try to make the case to me, and you sort of already did there a little bit, what could a person like me get out of it who is pretty convinced and set in my ways that I won't come over to the point of view that is sort of being espoused in this musical that I'm sure is full of great music, energy, excitement, and so on and so forth? Would you encourage someone like me to go see it?
Hell yes. Oh, am I allowed to say that? Okay, number one, because it's hecka entertaining. So you're going to laugh and just be, and you're going to love the music. The rock music is just awesome. The second reason, have you ever noticed that even though you may be really different from someone, maybe Laura, you grew up in the city and your friend grew up here, or I'm this race and you're that race, and somehow you find that you have something in common that you share. And what this musical highlights is that we have these core things in common. I was able to see myself in that there are just things as humans that we share. And so I would say going to this musical, you'll find the thing that connects us, which is more important than any of this other stuff. Laura, what were you going to say?
I love that so much. I just feel like we're in a time where our differences are louder than ever, and focusing on the ways that we can connect with each other and relate to each other. That's such a lovely idea. Plus, I love a musical.
Yeah, I hope I almost want to go see it again because it was so. I know. So I didn't convince you. Is your heart starting to
No, I just wanted to listen and take it in because honestly, I think that's so important to hear a differing perspective and a different offering in the art world that I might not experience and or endorse wholly. But I love seeing someone who's excited about it and conversing with someone who has a different point of view than me that says this is great and here's the case for why it's great. And so I really appreciated hearing about why you love this play. Very awesome.
Well, thank you for asking the question.
Thank you, Angela. Lots more coming up on a busy Jake and Spike show. Greg Tallman and Angela Poe Russell in today. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You never know what's in store each morning once you hit the road.
We've got a major traffic alert in effect right now.
Well, you're getting ready every morning. Make us part of your routine.
What morning, huh?
Yeah. Got off to an early start.
Just tell your smart speaker to play KIRO News Radio or stream us on the app.
Both directions of I-5 are closed.
We'll help you get where you're going faster.
Maybe bail at 512.
KIRO News Radio. We're on your smart speaker, the app, and 97.3 FM.
Well, I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Dan Nelson from Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. And you've heard from Dr. Dan's patients over the years how a simple stem cell procedure has successfully conquered their pain. Well, folks, now it's my turn. After years of dealing with knee pain from all the football abuse, I can say my knee pain now is almost 100% gone. How'd you do it, Dr. Dan?
Well, Brock, personally, I'm very happy that you did so well. And your story is like so many of our other patients who come in, former athletes and non-athletes as well, who have come in with chronic knee pain, and they are looking for alternatives besides knee replacement surgery. And we're happy to provide this service. It's been truly a game changer for so many folks. It's just been a pleasure to be part of this.
Consider Dr. Nelson, the only doctor with over 30 years of experience in pain medicine techniques, including stem cell therapy. I was in and out with a couple of follow-ups. It's a non-surgical solution to pain using your own stem cells. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD at 425-823-4000 or visit DanielNelsonMD.com. That's DanielNelsonMD.com.
Subaru of Puyallup is known for making your car buying experience stress-free no matter what. Olivia here from Subaru of Puyallup. We've provided stress-free sales and service through storms, supply hiccups, even a pandemic. You can count on a stress-free experience no matter what's around the corner. Right now, we have over 300 brand new Subaru vehicles on the lot with stress-free pricing plus excellent stress-free trade-in values. Come in and secure today's pricing on tomorrow's car at Subaru of Puyallup.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally draining, but it can also be a financial hardship. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients. We cover essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. This year, we are proud to celebrate 25 years of Northwest Hope and Healing. Since the year 2000, we have distributed over $2.8 million in direct financial assistance to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make a difference. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 17th at the Columbia Collective in Woodinville. It's an unforgettable afternoon of unwavering hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 17th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Are you worried about economic conditions, tariffs, and inflation? Are you tired of trying to time the stock market? Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given current market volatility. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Hi, I'm Scott Rirucka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years with zero investor losses, averaging double-digit returns since inception, and we also accept IRAs. Over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Feeling uneasy? Don't gamble your hard-earned money or risk your retirement. Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited openings for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit legacyg.com. That's legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
A word from Progressive Insurance. Life can be hard, so Progressive makes bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Peter King. Thousands of students have participated in demonstrations against the deportation of student activists protesting the Gaza war. Mahmoud Khalil was the subject of that one, and now a judge has ordered his release from ICE custody. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
Mahmoud Khalil has been held since early March over his on-campus protests on behalf of Palestinians in Gaza. A judge called the detention of the legal U.S. resident, who was not accused of any violence, highly unusual. A White House spokesperson responded, quote, Mahmoud Khalil was given the privilege of coming to America to study on a student visa he obtained by fraud and misrepresentation. The statement also claims Khalil engaged in conduct detrimental to American foreign policy, while it also questioned the judge's jurisdiction. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
A federal judge in Boston has blocked the administration's attempt to stop Harvard from hosting foreign students while the school's suit against Homeland Security is being decided. And just in, a federal appeals court has blocked Louisiana's law requiring the Ten Commandments to be posted in all public classrooms. European and Iranian officials are talking in Geneva as Iran and Israel continue to attack each other. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says its military will keep hitting Iran until its nuclear program is no longer a threat.
Iran is the preeminent terrorist regime in the world. It must not, it cannot have nuclear weapons. That is the purpose of Israel's action, to save itself from the Iranian threat of annihilation but by doing so, we're saving many, many
And
others.
President Trump has just said he doesn't think the Europeans will be helpful in ending the war. With summer beginning tonight, much of the eastern half of the country is getting ready for triple-digit temperatures beginning Sunday. We caught up with this woman in New York's Central Park.
We've had a lot of 60-degree weather, so to have it go up to 90s and 100 is a little intimidating. I'm a little worried about my dog who's running around here and making sure she's hydrated.
Health officials telling humans to stay hydrated, too. A change of heart in treating obesity. Here's CBS's Michael Wallace.
Until now, the American College of Cardiology recommended obese patients make lifestyle changes before turning to drugs like Wegovy or Zepbound. Now, the ACC says those drugs should be the first line of defense against heart disease. Cardiologist Dr. Isilma Fergus at Mount Sinai, New York, has been prescribing the drugs to some of her patients.
It's totally a game changer to have it in the toolkit.
The ACC says the drugs are more effective than lifestyle changes and not as risky as weight loss surgery. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Wall Street at the close, the Dow gained 36 points, the NASDAQ lost 99. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Seattle police say they were forced to open fire while responding to 2 separate domestic violence cases today. Details coming up, but first from the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. In Tacoma, a crash is blocking a lane on southbound I-5 at State Route 16. Traffic's backed up to the Tacoma Dome. In Seattle, a crash is blocking a lane on I-5 northbound near Lake City Way, but the crash has been cleared now from I-5 southbound at Northgate Way. You're still slow back to Holler Lake there, and travel time ever to Seattle is 53 minutes, about 8 longer than usual. You are crawling along JBLM on I-5. Travel time Tacoma to Olympia is 88 minutes, about half an hour longer than usual. Traffic brought to you by KIRO Newsradio.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. Investigators are working to determine if a domestic violence suspect died from a Seattle police officer's bullet or a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It happened this morning in the Madison Park neighborhood.
Just before 5 a.m., 3 officers responded to a domestic violence 911 call. Chief Sean Barnes says the female victim ran into those officers' arms.
One officer did return fire while the other 2 officers evacuated the victim who had been shot.
Hours after failed attempts to negotiate with the 53-year-old suspect, a SWAT team entered the house and found him dead. The victim is in stable condition. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
There was a second officer-involved shooting in Seattle this morning, also involving a domestic violence suspect. It happened in the Rainier Valley neighborhood. The suspect shot at police who fired back. No one injured by gunfire. This neighbor heard the shots, and he says he stayed put.
No. I wasn't getting in the middle of none of that.
Police say the suspect tried to escape, jumping into Lake Washington. He eventually gave himself up. A public memorial will be held tonight for the 3 Wenatchee girls who were found dead at a campsite near Leavenworth after a scheduled visit with their father. KIRO 7 TV's Brooke Griffin is in Central Washington.
We are speaking with the organizers. We are asking them, how can people really honor those girls tonight? They say that their favorite colors were green, purple, and pink. And if you'd like to wear one of those colors, that would definitely be a good way to honor that memory.
The memorial for Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia will take place at 7 p.m. at Rocky Reach Park in Wenatchee. Their father, Travis Decker, is still on the loose. Washington's top education office is laying off 37 people starting in July. That's due to budget cuts. The Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction says 57 jobs are being eliminated. 20 of them are retirements or open positions. The Seattle Sounders FIFA Club World Cup hopes are slipping after a 3-1 loss to Atletico Madrid at Lumen Field. Albert Rusnak gave Sounders fans a brief spark with a second-half goal.
It goes towards Rothrock and Rusnak! That'll do nicely for Seattle Sounders.
It wasn't enough, though. Seattle now sits 0-2 in Group B and faces a must-win match against Paris Saint-Germain to avoid early elimination on Monday. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with a few showers and highs around 60. It's 61 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in for Jake and Spike. Got the A-team here with Laura producing, Andrew behind the boards. And Angela, it was fun conversing with you, being an interlocutor with you for that first hour. We've never done this before, although we've exchanged niceties in the newsroom. But it's nice to go a little more in-depth with you.
It's been wonderful.
And in that spirit, I abhor small talk. I can't stand it. If we're not saying something meaningful or getting to the heart of an issue, it just bores me to no end. So we're going to go right to medium talk and maybe elevated talk here at the outset of the hour number 2, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
In order to try to get to know you a little more and your positions before we dive into our next topic, would you say that the person you are today is more a result of nature or nurture? In other words, your belief system, your ideology, the arguments you've formulated over many years in your closely held values, is it more a result of where you came from or who you've kind of evolved into being, or a mixture of both, and to what degree?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Well, you're going to learn a little bit about me by my response.
Sure.
I love research. I mean, I do believe in like the things we don't understand, but I also value science. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think science tells us that I'm kind of the product of mostly nature. Now, there is a little bit of nurture that makes a difference. So I don't know the exact percentages, but let's just say 80-20. But I think I'm mostly nurture with a sprinkle. Did I say it right? Mostly nature.
Mostly nature, okay.
With a hint of nurture.
So hardwired a certain way, kind of from the beginning. You've deviated from that a little bit, but
my parents have been horrified a few times. Yeah.
Right?
But I'd like to think that deep in the DNA, there was something like this.
I heard
what about you?
I heard an analogy one time. I think it was from a guy named Richard Rohr, and he said that we're all given a set of furniture at birth by our parents, by society or whatever. And then as we get older, we either keep the furniture where it's at, or we throw some of it out, or we rearrange some of the furniture. And I always like that analogy because I resonate with that, because that's sort of what I've done over many, many years and years. And at the age of 42 now, I have a lot of different views than I had at 20. I would argue that I have the same foundation, the same roots, but I've included and allowed for a little more nuanced thinking to come in, because I think when I was younger, the most important thing is you're just like, I want to know what's right, and then I'm going to stick to it, and then I'm going to defend it. And then the more you go through experiences, the more you read, the more you realize about your own fallibility, and you're humbled time and time again by some of that confidence and definitiveness you had before. You allow for other things to go, wait, hold on. I think I know it, but I might not be so sure. I got to allow for that cognitive dissonance, or that little tension to exist of like, yeah, I'll be willing to be proven wrong on this.
Yeah, maybe we don't know everything, right? Because I think I have had a similar journey. So I appreciate that we both got there, because I think it is always concerning when people have a ton of life experiences and they still think they know it all. It's like, what?
Right? No, it's very hard to deal with people like that. And it's fun, though, to explore the differences and how we've arrived at different conclusions, too. And there is a healthy way to do that. So let's springboard into the topic of the Trump administration and how it's dealing with the issue of immigration. So there's this big write-up in the Seattle Times. Washington cherry growers struggle to find pickers. And so apparently there's just this big threat that there could be federal raids at any time to pick up people that are suspected of being illegal immigrants and then detain them and potentially deport them in haste. So this is hitting farmers. And Trump even addressed this, if I'm not mistaken, about a week or two ago, and said maybe we need to carve out some type of exception for farm workers. Like, duh. I mean, like, did you not think this was going to impact them in any way? Tell us some of the details of the story, if you have them there, Angela, about how this is affecting cherry growers.
You are absolutely correct that there was some guidance and then conflicting guidance. So it's been unclear where they stand at this point. So Homeland Security sent an email to agents saying to hold on all worksite enforcement investigations, operations on agriculture. That was according to the Washington Post. And then it changed like several days later when it was like, nope, we're back on. So that doesn't help the situation when you're unclear within your own administration. And because even if you decide to keep it the way it is, at least we know. But now it's like the uncertainty isn't helping the farmers at all, because no matter what they tell these potential workers, they're like, we're afraid to come. We're afraid to come. And I have to go back to like, what was the intent of all this in the first place? And I'm just starting to come to the realization that maybe this was never about getting violent criminals. Maybe this was really about, you know what, we're being outnumbered and they need to go where they came from. That's what I worry. The whole white replacement theory or something?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I'm not saying I buy into it.
No,
I'm saying
I know what you're
I'm saying that I worry if this were about violent criminals, then why are we going after
Well, that's how they definitely prepackaged the messaging in the early days of, hey, we're going to go after these bad guys that are repeat offenders and got here illegally, yes, but now they're committing more crimes. We're going to start there. And a lot of us were sort of on board with that. That's one of those quote unquote 80-20 issues that I think left and right is all in favor of. But then when the raids at Home Depot and farms began to happen, it creates a little bit of a pause. But you're right to point out some of the confusion over the policies too, because it seems like it's a make it up as you go type of thing. And then with a lot of human beings being collateral damage in that process. So I've grown up in the state of Washington. I've lived here my whole life, and I'm still going to butcher this name. But at least one cherry grower in the Mattawa area has already lost about 300 bins, each weighing between 350 and 400 pounds, because people aren't apparently coming out to pick the cherries for fear that they might be rounded up and detained and or deported. Here's the way I try to understand the dynamic that's happening here or comprehend all the angles of this. So the argument from Trumplandia and a lot of conservatives is if you want to grow, pick, and sell cherries, you need to do it legally with a workforce that is composed of American citizens. And what's going to be the end result of that? Well, it's going to shoot prices up on cherries dramatically, without question. But here's where the harsh reality might be, Angela. Perhaps us as Americans, we've been paying artificially low prices, not just in produce, but with other goods as well, because of a dependence on illegal cheap labor.
Yes, and I mean the imports from China.
Table.
Yes, yes.
But this is similar, and there is some consistency here to Trump's argument of maybe kids don't need 100 dolls, they need 3 dolls. Maybe cheap slave labor producing dolls in China in mass isn't a good thing for American consumers. There's a part of me that actually agrees with that argument. Not wholly. I'm not a Trump supporter, and I'm a little more kind of gray area-ish on this immigration issue, thinking we need comprehensive immigration reform and there should be a path to citizenship, especially for people who have built lives here and are otherwise law-abiding citizens, have raised families here. Can we have them pay fines and assimilate and do all that? I'm more in favor of that. But I do get the point that is being made. And, lest I start sounding like Jimmy Carter's crisis of confidence speech, but he said, we've discovered that owning things and consuming things does not satisfy our longing for meaning. Well, Americans sort of rejected that message from Carter of everything in moderation. Americans like abundance and cheap goods and tons of goods. And we're always looking at the receipt at the grocery store. And I'm sort of thinking, well, maybe this system was built on a bunch of lies. Maybe cherries should be a little more expensive if you were paying people a decent wage and doing it legally. Poke some holes in that theory for me, if you will.
I don't think you're wrong. The problem is people are already struggling. And so you try to turn over the apple cart? And you're going to put a lot of people in a lot more pain. And so, yes, do we need to maybe have more manufacturing in the U.S.? Do we need to make more of our own things? Do we need to but have a plan for the border? Absolutely. But what a lot of people have struggled with is the way you're going about this is not strategic and not in a way that's going to bring it the outcome you want. And I'll just give you an example. Like with these cherry farmers. I didn't know this about cherries. I don't farm, but I certainly appreciate it. They were saying with cherries, you only have this 2-week window to pick. Like they said, apples, they can sit longer. Like cherries, we have this one window. And so during this one window, this crop that's very important to many farmers. They make a lot of money off of it. It's how they sustain themselves. And we don't have the workers here. One of them talked about we normally have 1 to 200 and they had 20 to 30. And so they're throwing out stuff. So that's where
you make like all your money for the year in that little window.
But I do think that, yes, we are definitely addicted to cheap goods. Yes. And do we need to maybe alter our system? But I just don't know I don't think it can be a drastic move because people are already struggling. All you're going to do is hurt more people.
All right, going from cherry picking literally and figuratively to another line of work, and that is with our neighbors here in Seattle, Amazon. They're ordering some corporate employees to move closer to their managers and teams. This also at the Seattle Times. It's roiling a workforce already worried about job cuts and warnings from the top that AI will shrink their ranks in the coming years. Angela, when you read this story, did you sense that there was a reason underneath the reason for why Amazon is making this move? Or do you buy what they're selling here in terms of the narrative? They seem to be placing an emphasis on more human-to-human connection. That's why we're doing this. And when teams work closer together, they get more stuff done. It's better for the health and well-being of the organization and so on and so forth. That sounded a little too rose-colored glasses for me. What do you think?
It definitely sounds like they're trying to shed some numbers, and here's why. So in one breath, you tell me, because an email did go out from one of its top executive saying, we are going to have less people. AI is going to take your jobs. Please use AI to do your job, to learn about it, take classes, et cetera. And in that same breath, asking people to move. And so if I'm an Amazon employee in, let's say, Texas, and they want me to come to Seattle, because they're saying either come to Seattle, D.C., what was the other city? Was it New York? I can't remember the third one.
Arlington.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So go to these 3 cities, or you have 60 days. So you have 30. Here, let me get this right. You have 30 days to make your decision and 60 days to start the process of moving or resign. So you want me to make this drastic move while you tell me I may not have a job. And that's the part I can't reconcile. I want to point out that in that memo he sent, he said that Amazon is working to build right now more than 1,000 Gen AI services and apps. More than 1,000.
Wow.
And it's spending more than any other tech company on AI, to the tune of more than $100 billion. So we know that Microsoft had layoffs and they didn't shy away from the fact that AI is a part of this. So, okay, here's what I want to know from you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it unreasonable to give someone 60 days to move or to start the process? And let me give you context for this question.
Yeah.
I'll never forget working for a boss, old school guy, and he got a job offer in New York. And I'm like, how's your family feel about it? How's your kid? He's like, I have a job in New York. We're moving. And so I'm wondering, are we just too sensitive to the feelings of, they're in school and all the disruption versus people that just hey, this is the job. This is what I need to do. Let's go. I tend to err on the side of the softie, but what is your thought? Is 60 days reasonable?
Oh, boy. Yeah, this absolutely hits close to home. And I think the question of whether or not it's reasonable is different than are they perfectly within their rights to put that deadline on the table. They are. I mean, you're not conscripted to work for Amazon and stuff. Does it stink for a lot of employees? Yeah, it's kind of a major bummer, right? And there's no doubt that this is going to thin some of the workforce because people are having to encounter that very dilemma in which you spoke. But also, like you said, I think we've all dealt with this to a certain degree. And life is full of trade-offs, not solutions. And you have to calculate what is the best possible trade-off for me and my family in this scenario. I know we're good friends with a family whose dad is a college football coach. And in this environment, with the NIL and the transfer portal and stuff. He's told me this is unlike a landscape I've ever experienced in all my times of being a coach, because you're being moved around like pieces on a chessboard, here to here to here to here. What does that do for a family? You know, there's always like that military kid cliche, right?
Yeah.
Where you're in Florida and then the California coast and then Virginia, and you're all over the place. And it does something to your family when you're constantly moving around, and you have to make the calculation, well, is this job so good that I just can't pass it up? And it provides other benefits that sort of negate the downside of having to constantly be on the move and not have my kids grounded and my family grounded in a certain area. I've dealt with this in radio because I've been in the radio industry for 20 years now. And radio is also an industry where it's like, oh, there's an opening for a host in Denver, and then, in Dallas, and then in California. And it used to be hosts would jump all over the place. And my wife and I sort of sat down and we said, we don't really want to do that. Like, you enjoy the radio industry so much, but if that's the path we need to take to get to the metaphorical mountaintop you want to get to, that's not a road either of us really agree to. So let's set up here locally and just pursue all the opportunities we get. Now, in retrospect, was that a good decision over 10, 15, 20 years? I would say it was a trade-off. Like, there have been a lot of opportunities, but there's been a lot of doors that have opened that I haven't walked through because we've decided, no, we love our home. We're 10 minutes from grandparents. We've lived in this area our whole lives. We love the people here. Our friends are here. So in our specific case, we said, no, we like where we're at, and we've sacrificed a few things to make that choice. I don't think there's necessarily like a right or wrong answer.
Ooh,
it depends.
You're living in the gray here.
Yeah,
Okay.
it depends on the person, depends on the family, and it depends on what you want out of life ultimately. I was just never really going to leave the state of Washington. I love it here too much, and my wife does too. And then so we said, okay, let's make the most of our opportunities given that as a baseline.
Yeah. And you know, if I were one of those Amazon employees, because I know Amazon, it pays pretty well. If you're in the corporate, it's pretty competitive. And you don't know, let's say if you only have 60 days, you might not get a job by then. I probably would start the process and figure it out later, because you just, I don't know. It depends on if you're the sole provider of your family. I mean, sometimes you have to make those hard financial decisions. I can't believe we got through the segment and we didn't get to all the things.
We got more things.
There were so many more things to talk about.
Yes, we're having too much fun. Appreciate it, Angela. Greg Tomlin, Angela Poe-Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show. Lots more coming up on 97.3 FM KIRO Radio.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
You listen to The John Curley Show every afternoon. What does John listen to every morning?
I listen to Charlie and Manda, get my pot of coffee going, then turn on Seattle's Morning News, and I begin to build my show that way. And you want straight news without opinion, just giving it to you with the facts. There's only one place to go, Seattle's Morning News.
The perfect bookends to your daily commute. Seattle's Morning News and The John Curley Show on KIRO Newsradio. Download the KIRO Newsradio app to listen anytime.
You know that cartoon of the three-eyed fish swimming in polluted water next to a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, classic.
I used to think that was real, but I just learned that nuclear energy waste isn't some glowing green goo. It's actually used fuel rods from nuclear reactors that made electricity.
Wait, so no barrels of leaking sludge?
No, solid used fuel rods are safely stored at all the nuclear power plants in the U.S., including the one in Richland.
So the cartoon fish isn't real?
Not even close. Learn the facts about nuclear energy and used fuel at energy-northwest.com.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
G. Scott here with former Seahawks Cliff Averill and Doug Baldwin. I heard you guys are having a celebrity pickleball tournament to raise money for Nourishing Champions. Why pickleball?
Obviously, it's a growing sport, but also this model is that we will actually be playing with community.
We are the most competitive people, so regardless of how sorry Doug might be, he will be out there competing like it's a Super Bowl.
Sign up for the Celebrity Pickleball Tournament, open to all skill levels. For details, go to championsofchangefoundation.org/pickleball.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At the Harnish Auto family, people matter isn't just a saying, it's how they do business. For over 40 years, their dealerships, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Volkswagen, Subaru of Puyallup, plus Chevrolet and Kia of Everett, have built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. From supporting local charities to making sure every customer drives away happy, they're here for you. Stop by any of their dealerships or visit HarnishAutoFamily.com and find your next car today. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Spike O'Neill here with Dr. Matthew Sharp, owner of Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens. Dr. Sharp, I am amazed at the brightness and the clarity that I didn't even realize I'd lost before I had my procedure. How's that even possible?
A lot of people don't realize that. As you get older, the lens not only is less flexible, but it gets less transparent. And gradually, even in our 40s, 50s, 60s, the lens variety does get less transparent. So you get more glare at night, more halos, loss of contrast sensitivity, loss of some color vision or decreased color vision.
Exactly what I was seeing.
And so when we replace that lens that gets cloudier and cloudier with a crystal clear lens, all of the light gets through, all of the clarity, all the brightness, all the colors. And again, with the multifocal lenses that we have, it's sort of like a bifocal built in, so you can see near and far.
Give the folks at Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens a call at 425-451-2020 or online at sharp-vision.com. Sharp with an E-vision.com.
Over 400 tariff-free new Kias are available now at Kia of Everett with easy lease and financing options. Experience simple, easy, fun at Kia of Everett today.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Hutler. The White House is vowing to appeal a federal judge's ruling ordering the release of a former Columbia University grad student held at an immigration detention facility in Louisiana. CBS's Linda Kenyon with the story.
Mahmoud Khalil has been held since early March over his on-campus protests on behalf of Palestinians in Gaza. A judge called the detention of the legal U.S. resident, who was not accused of any violence, highly unusual. A White House spokesperson responded, quote, Mahmoud Khalil was given the privilege of coming to America to study on a student visa he obtained by fraud and misrepresentation. The statement also claims Khalil engaged in conduct detrimental to American foreign policy, while it also questioned the judge's jurisdiction. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
This week, President Trump signed an executive order to keep TikTok running in the U.S. for another 90 days. It's the third time he's extended the deadline. The White House says it will use that time to bring the social media platform, which is owned by a Chinese company, under American ownership. Washington Democratic U.S. Senator Maria Cantwell's concerned about the extension.
In the middle of a global conflict, during which we know our enemies can weaponize TikTok to spread their propaganda and turn the world against the United States, we need to take action.
The White House, though, says Americans' data is safe and secure. Time to check the closing bell. A Seattle institution will soon be gone completely. KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay explains.
The last 20 Bartell drugstores will become CVS stores. Rite Aid, which is bankrupt, owns Bartell's, and last month it announced it planned to sell 64 Bartell's and Rite Aid stores in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho to CVS. Bartell Drugs was founded in 1890. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
On Wall Street today, the Dow finished up 35, the S&P 500 down 13, the NASDAQ off by a half percentage point by 99 points overall. Now, let's check your traffic. In Tacoma, a crash blocking the two right lanes on southbound I-5 at State Route 16. That's been happening for quite some time. There's been 3 different little crashes in that general vicinity right now, and traffic's backed up to the Tacoma Dome. In Seattle, a crash blocks a lane on I-5 northbound near Lake City Way. Current travel times include Linwood to Seattle at 39 minutes, Tacoma to Olympia 91 minutes right now, as opposed to about a 65-minute average drive at this hour. And Bellevue to Renton take you 28 minutes. Lake Bridge is wide open other than some slowing just on the Montlake Cut at eastbound 520. Your forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A few showers today before widespread rain comes in tomorrow. Highs both days only about 60. Scattered showers and sunbreak Sunday with a high of 70. And honest to goodness summer weather back on Monday and Tuesday with highs in the mid 70s to low 80s right now on this first day of summer. 61 and mostly cloudy. I'm Tom Hutler, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Well, everything has a shelf life. It's Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike show. I don't know if you just heard the news there officially, Angela, but Bartell Drugs is going the way of Bon Marché, Ernst, the Seattle Supersonics, the Kingdom, the Alaskan Way Viaduct.
I don't think we've lost.
Well,
yeah, you're okay. Laura, you go first because I know. Just so you all know, during the commercial break, Laura and I were sharing just how devastated we are by this.
This is really upsetting. They carry small local brands that you just cannot find in other places. I was in the store up that's next to, I think it's called Snapdragon Toys now. It used to be Top 10 Toys when I was growing up. There's a Bartell's right there, and I was talking to this older woman who was working the register, and she was just like, I don't know what's going to happen. And you know, they hated Rite Aid management, she told me, and she was not excited about potentially working for CVS, and she said it's just up in the air what could happen next. And I don't know, this is really upsetting to me.
Newsman Tom, you're still here. 135 years storied history, Bartell Drugs. Your impressions?
Well,
you're a Northwest guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going through the same feelings they are. You know, it's like their old saying was, you know, your Northwest Pharmacy, and right in your hometown, and those kind of things. And like Laura's mentioning, I'm hopeful maybe they'll hang on to some of those local brands, but given the national scope and standing of CVS, I doubt it.
Yeah, thanks for your reporting on that. I was surprised to come to find out, like, my 14-year-old daughter is a huge fan of Bartell's. Whenever I'm about to go, can we stop by Bartell's? Can we stop by Bartell's? I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing.
There's always something interesting there. I don't know how to put it. Like, if you need a white elephant gift, if you need, like, you can just find
a chessboard, a hair product,
a care package to mail to your sister, which is the last time I was there.
My meds. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but my meds.
No, so real talk. I actually got my prescription transferred to Bartell's in Bellevue, even though I don't live in Bellevue, because I wanted to be able to go to a Bartell's. I like it there. So here's what I have to know, because I'm that kid at heart that's like, why? Why did this happen? I remember many years ago when you could find a pharmacy on every corner and they all were thriving. What happened? Do we think this was Amazon? Do we think what happened?
Costco mail order.
Yeah, more competition.
Yeah, you have pharmacies now at all the grocery stores. They've got the mail order. You got the Amazon. You've got GoodRx and things you can order from, and you don't have to leave your home in many cases. And I think there's just more options, and a lot of them are cheaper.
Well, and it's true, and we get sad that it's going away, and then part of me goes, well, the problem is us, right? Because they didn't go away for an arbitrary reason. It's pretty clear that people shop in a certain way, and it creates certain conditions that make it harder for a business to operate. And for whatever reason, us with our consumer dollars in mass have gone either to competitors or to Amazon, and so it's been hurting Bartell's bottom line, I would assume.
I live in West Seattle, and there's 2 there.
Yeah.
Right now, there are 2 there.
Yeah. Here's the other thing I wonder about. Is because you talked about the problem being us. At least in the city of Seattle, did we help them? I mean, in terms of many of them were struggling with crime. I was in Bartell's the other day in Seattle and just watched someone walk right out. You know, they had to end up getting their own private security. And that wasn't the only location. And so I do wonder if your bottom line is already stretched. That's just if you add in all these things. And that being one of them, I think that has to be a factor, at least for the Seattle stores initially.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to forget to mention that. But you're exactly right. They got no help from the city or city leaders to make it a more favorable condition to be able to do business by just getting the criminal element away from their stores or out of their stores or apprehending people or throwing them in jail for a little bit. It was that we can commit crime with impunity at these places and petty theft after petty theft after petty theft.
We had a beautiful Starbucks in our neighborhood. I live in the Central District, gorgeous Starbucks. And I remember when it closed, people were like, oh, it's the union. I'm like, no. I don't go to that Starbucks despite how beautiful it is because there's always some kind of drama there. And I mean, and it's the same for the pharmacy that exists there. It's just always I shouldn't say always, but we've had shootings there, more than one. One day I'm driving near that Starbucks. There's someone outside naked. I mean, it's just... Okay, let me be clear. I don't want to paint Seattle because I'm giving you isolated instances of this one Starbucks.
I've experienced the same thing around the city,
but
Angela.
I have you also experienced the beauty? I don't want to not give you a full picture. It's not like that all the time.
Well said.
But for that Starbucks, it was really hard to do business.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And I think that if you're in a position to help, then you need to make your community work for everybody.
All right, turning to a much different community, all the way over in the Middle East. We're going to build this story under the headline, Real War, Fake Images. And again, many ways we're in a brave new world, but as conflict has erupted between Israel and Iran, so has copious amounts of AI-generated images that are circulating around the internet and social media. There's a particularly notable one of a supposed downed F-35 airplane with a bunch of people surrounding it in the middle of the desert. One catch, it's totally fake. It's totally digitally generated. And so add this to the list of things that contribute to the fog of war, I guess. And to a degree, there's always been deception, misconceptions, head fakes, and so on in any war for time immemorial, right? In World War II, Stalin was doing his own form of photoshopping with generals that he had purged and would just erase them from a photo like they never existed. And then that photo would circulate. Oh, whatever happened to that guy? Oh, we murdered him. But I guess he just never existed in the first place. But now this is on a whole new level, right? Because we're a much more globalized society. Large portions of countries' populations have the internet and access to these fake digitally generated pixelated planes. And my question is, Angela, if AI is smart enough to generate these images that look extremely convincing, isn't there some kind of AI program that we could all have on our phones that is able to tell the difference between a real image and a fake image. And we could just upload the picture and it goes, that's fake. I know why. Here's why. I've studied it. And the contours of this are off and so on and so forth.
I know that companies exist that are doing that work of being able to detect a fake video. So that's probably the next iteration is how do we get that in our hands? In the same way that thinking analog, how, we got counterfeit bills. How do we detect it? And everyone became an expert in how you detect it. The thing I want to point out, a few things, what it used to be years ago, certain people with a certain skill could alter images. I worked in TV, so I knew people for years. They could create an altered image because they had that special skill set. So now with the new technology, so many more people can do this easily. And I just wonder, is it one of these tools that should be regulated in a way? Like, should we have access to this, or should the focus be more on the detection piece and developing that technology? That's what I'm wondering, because it's this power. Because here's the deal.
Yeah.
Even if you figure it out, you said it earlier in the show. A lie travels fast. What was the quote? A lie travels fast around the world
before the truth can get its boots
before the
on in the
truth
morning.
can get its boots on in the morning. I don't know if you were following this. But even in the search for Travis Decker, there was a viral video on TikTok claiming he'd been arrested. They had video of a person being arrested and all this stuff, and it was not true.
You're bringing up a great point. And what's crazy is there was actually dozens of TikTok posts that had said he had been captured. So again, I'll reiterate this. Live more of your life in the real world, right? The more you spend in the digital realm, the more you're rewiring your brain to comprehend things in a completely foreign way that is going to ultimately start to destroy your cognitive thinking abilities, because it's just so full of nonsense images and fake stuff and viral videos meant to stimulate the dopamine hit in your brain and stuff. It's like, in some ways, it's good to be regressive. Go back to the beauty of those face-to-face interactions and work environments. And I get it. Some of it is necessary, like news reports and things. We have to go online, but we've rushed headlong into far too many realms without fully fleshing out the negative implications of this. And the stakes are never as high as in wartime. And so seeing how all this plays out between Israel and Iran and how we make sense of the truth here is not a fun experiment we're going through.
I'm like, what world are we living in? I mean, exciting and terrifying.
Yeah. Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show. Lots more coming up on KIRO 97.3 FM.
Closing Bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
You listen to Charlie and Manda on Seattle's Morning News every morning. What do they listen to every afternoon?
I listen to John all the time when I'm driving home, driving my kids around.
I also listen to the John Curley Show, and even by the end of the day, I still like to keep my brain active, and he's very good at doing that.
John, first of all, is hilarious. I never know where this dude is coming from.
The perfect bookends to your daily commute with KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM and the KIRO News Radio app.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of products, next day delivery. So always plan safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it
And
done.
as school wraps up for most districts for the summer, we're also looking ahead to next
Jane
year
has
with
150,000 miles on
big budget
her truck.
concerns in mind.
And she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Today is the last day to save big during our mid-year clearance spectacular. All 8 of our Puget Sound showrooms are open until 6 p.m. This is your last chance for incredible savings on one-of-a-kind saltwater hot spring spas, plus deep discounts on pre-owned tubs, swim spas, and saunas. Do not miss this. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Breaking news for the people of Boomtown. With Xfinity Mobile, the Wi-Fi is booming at home and on the go.
And an upgrade storm's on the way.
That's right. And with Xfinity Mobile Premium Unlimited, you can upgrade your phone when you want, up to 2 times a year.
Now, once customers catch wind of the guaranteed new device discount, it'll be the biggest upgrade storm in history.
Wow. Let's hear from our weatherman on the scene.
How's it looking out there, Rick?
Well, Bill, the Wi-Fi is still booming.
Now through September 30th, existing Xfinity Internet customers can get an unlimited line included for a year. Plus, ask how to get a free 5G phone. Learn more at xfinitymobile.com. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Unlimited line offer requires Xfinity 300 megabit internet or above. Taxes, fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds vary.
This week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to my friend Brock Heward. Brock, why did you call First Mark?
Brandy, it is so good to talk to you. It's been too long, and we made that call. And the only bummer is we waited too long. I know you hear from people that you talk to as well as I do to take the First Mark Insurance Challenge. I just wish we would have done it earlier. You know, Brandy, the word that comes to my mind is a word I use on my sports show a lot, and that is connective tissue. It's important in team building. It's important to players in a locker room to be connected to others. And when it comes to insurance, it's so complicated. It's stressful, and you just don't even want to deal with it. And that's where the connective tissue of having a pro, having a broker, having a partner, and most of all, having a teammate like First Mark Insurance was the best connective tissue we could find.
Brock did it. My family did it. You got to do it. It's free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
Spike O'Neill here. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK lens gave me back the perfect vision I had up until a few years ago. Now, never need glasses again. Never develop cataracts. Been about 6 months since my RLE surgery. My vision is better than it's ever been in my life. Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens, privately owned, no corporate shareholders or boardrooms. Dr. Sharp built his business on the principle of always strive to overaccomplish, never overprice. Call 425-451-2020 or go online to sharp-vision.com. That's sharp-vision.com. Official eye care providers of Sounders FC.
Join the free smoothie party at Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Saturday, June 21st for National Smoothie Day. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie with bowl or food purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
Guys, it's Men's Health Month at Revive Seattle. Get a free comprehensive wellness panel. It checks your testosterone, blood sugar, heart health, and more. Valued at $400. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Every summer we drive to Lake Chelan in our Subaru Outback. That car has been great for our family adventures. We bought it at Carter Subaru, and they have what you've been searching for with over 300 new vehicles in stock, including the 2025 Forester, now with 3.9% financing for 48 months, or go electric with the 2025 Solterra EV, 0% APR for 72 months.
On approved credit, subject to vehicle insurance and availability. A documentary service fee may be added to the sale price or capitalized cost. See dealer for details. Valid through 6/30/25.
Issaquah's finest, Modest Mouse, bringing us in from the break. It's Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike show, turning now to a story about siblings who stepped up to provide mouth guards, protective mouth guards, to student athletes amid school budget crunches. And I could go on a tirade here about why there is a shortfall with certain schools in the administrative state and how we need to cut down on administration and empower students. But we're not going to go there with this angle to the story. Okay, Laura, help us understand what's going on here with these free mouth guards that are being donated.
Well, I saw this story and I thought it was really cute. And then we were talking about it and realized that it kind of digs into a few bigger issues. These 3 siblings in Woodinville started a very cute nonprofit. It's called Safe Smiles. And basically they go around to local dentist offices on the east side and they solicit donations of mouth guards and then they give them to local school athletic programs. And King 5 did a little feature with them and talked to the 3 siblings.
The siblings started their own nonprofit inspired by their dad. He's a dentist, and when he shared a story about a young patient who couldn't afford a treatment after a sports injury, the kids were inspired, and Safe Smiles was born.
We hope to spread awareness about mouth guards and the importance of wearing them and just make it socially acceptable so people aren't embarrassed to wear them.
We have donated to multiple public schools in the area. I think it feels really good to give to other people that need it.
So obviously, a very cute story, but I caught something interesting in that little feature, which is that their dad is a dentist. And I think that the parents have something to do with this nonprofit that their kids are magically starting on their own.
And I had never heard of kids starting nonprofits before. Is this a thing
let
now?
us educate you into the new world of college admissions.
Really? What?
Okay, so and by the way, I don't want to insinuate that their work or their desire is not genuine.
Sure.
But I want to explain why so many people do roll their eyes because of a trend we're noticing.
Oh.
So it all started for me back in 2020, around around that time. And I'm working at evening at King 5. And we get story pitches all the time. And so I got a pitch from a teenager. They'd started this nonprofit. And I was like, that's amazing. We're going to feature them. Woo, let's go. Did a story. And the next thing you know, someone else reached out and said, hey, I started a nonprofit. Would love to. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. What great kids. Let's go.
Society is healing.
And then it happened again where a lady reached out to me. She's like, hey, I'm a college counselor and doing a project for my kids. And well, I didn't know she was a college counselor at first. She said she was doing this little project. And then as I did the story, I'm like, this was all for college. And then the other trend I noticed, they were all from the east side. So they all were from Redmond and in those areas. And I figured out that that's a whole thing is everyone's trying to differentiate themselves. So they feel like if I start a nonprofit, just yesterday at Juneteenth, my daughter sang at one of the events. And this guy said, hey, the Seattle Times wants to talk to you. And then he looks at me, he's like, great for the college resume.
That is a cynical take.
Are you picking up where I'm putting down?
Yes.
And then I saw the admissions director for Duke was in town speaking at my daughter's school. And he was making the rounds at several schools. And he talked about this whole passion project thing and was kind of discouraging it, unless it's something you really want to do. And so someone raised their hand and was like, I want to do a passion project. And he's like, what are you passionate about? And she had nothing to say.
Getting into college?
And he's like, if you can't answer that question, then... So now there's a lot of cynicism around why, is this an authentic thing? Or is this something that you're doing to sweeten your college portfolio?
I had not heard about this before. Whatever happened to the days of, I had decent grades, but I had to write a college essay.
Yeah, now you got to write college essays.
My essay was about how I witnessed a skier get in a crash and die, and I got into UW. Now I need to start a nonprofit? Is that what you're telling me?
Have your kids start the nonprofit.
Oh, my goodness.
And then, so you agree with this, right?
I hate to be cynical, and I'm sure that that's not why these horrible 3 siblings started this. I don't want to imply that at all, but
it is.
Yeah.
No, we're not saying that. We're not.
I think this is the new Eagle Scout Gold Award, thing that you do to just give that little extra gilding to your college application. Get
you use anything and everything you can.
And can I just say, I think the colleges are at fault too. So many of them are wanting you, tell us how you're going to change the world. And what? I'm just trying to get a part-time job this summer. My daughter wants to do music and USD is like, well, you need to tell us in a video how you're going to change the world.
They also say that they weight part-time jobs the same way that they do extracurriculars, and I don't buy that for a second. I think if you have the time and the money to start a nonprofit, your application is going to look a lot better than someone who had to work a few part-time jobs to help support their
I don't
family.
have time to start a nonprofit, okay?
Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on KIRO Radio for Jake and Spike. We'll be right back.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number 4th of July sale. Save over $600 on our King P5 smart bed, our lowest price of the season. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Download the KIRO Newsradio app, where you can watch us live or stream us live anywhere, anytime.
How would this initiative, whatever this initiative is, how would he fund it?
Stay connected everywhere. Download the KIRO Newsradio app.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
For more than 65 years, our service technicians at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning have been proud to offer the home comfort solutions that your family needs. This summer, trust the team at Bob's to equip you with peace of mind, providing efficient service and expert knowledge to keep you safe and comfortable in your home. While temperatures may be on the rise, our service solutions remain steady and affordable. Plus, we'll provide you with a new filter replacement at each AC maintenance. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Your family's comfort is our family's business.
At the Harnish Auto family, people matter isn't just a saying, it's how they do business. For over 40 years, their dealerships, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Volkswagen, Subaru of Puyallup, plus Chevrolet and Kia of Everett, have built a stellar reputation on trust, respect, and great deals. From supporting local charities to making sure every customer drives away happy, they're here for you. Stop by any of their dealerships or visit HarnishAutoFamily.com and find your next car today. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Peter King. As European and Iranian officials talk in Geneva, President Trump has said he doesn't believe that they'll find a solution to end the war with Israel and end Iran's nuclear program. More from CBS's Linda Kenyon.
President Trump says the clock is ticking for Iran to give up its nuclear program.
Giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time. And I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
Speaking to reporters in New Jersey, the president said he's not looking for war, but he will take steps if he must.
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean Sometimes you need some toughness to make peace.
And that means using bunker buster bombs, which Israel does not have, in order to take out Iran's underground nuclear facilities. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
As the president weighs getting the U.S. directly involved, U.S. law enforcement is watching for trouble in this country from Iranian allies. CBS's Jennifer Jacobs.
Multiple sources told CBS News that FBI Director Kash Patel has increased efforts to monitor possible domestic sleeper cells linked to Hezbollah.
The Trump administration says it will appeal a judge's ruling ordering ICE to release Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil. Here's CBS's Jake Rosen.
He was the first student who was detained by the Trump administration, and really this completes a full loss by the Trump administration, who has continued to try to hold students for their pro-Palestinian or pro-Gaza stances.
Khalil has been held in Louisiana. He's due to be released tonight. Also in Louisiana, a federal appeals court has ruled the state cannot require public schools to display the Ten Commandments. Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed the state order a year ago. Summer begins in less than 6 hours, but the heat will feel like mid-season this weekend. The temperatures in the 90s and headed to triple digits in much of the country. Henry Jameson is at a camp in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
It's about to be 108. My mom's picking me up early. Drinks a lot of water, put sunscreen on, maybe have a few popsicles, and just try to stay cold.
President Trump's big, beautiful bill may have trouble crossing the finish line despite GOP majorities in Congress. In an interview for CBS Sunday Morning, Alaska Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski says she's not happy with the bill as it stands now.
I want to try to do what we can to address certain aspects of our entitlement spending. We've got to do that. But doing it with the most vulnerable bearing the brunt of that is not the answer.
Wall Street, the Dow gained 35 points. The NASDAQ lost 99. This is CBS News.
A word from Progressive Insurance. Life can be hard, so Progressive can make bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
A pair of officer-involved shootings in the news today. Details next. First, this traffic report. And this traffic report is brought to you by Seattle Sports. We've got that I-5 southbound Tacoma area crash. Still slow due to that earlier rollover, but it has loosened up quite a bit. It's also now very slow, just north of Pounders Corner, down almost to DuPont on the I-5 southbound off-ramp to North 85th Street. There's also a collision blocking the ramp. Travel times right now include Linwood to Seattle, 35 minutes, 24 minutes from Bellevue to Linwood, and a 39-minute drive Everett to Bellevue. Lake Bridges, a little slow mid-span into Seattle westbound on I-90, and slow down as you merge on to 520, headed eastbound. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial and 97.3 HD2.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Hutler. After a 6-hour standoff, a domestic violence suspect who police say fired shots at officers is dead. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey reports from Seattle's Madison Park neighborhood earlier.
Investigators will now determine if the suspect died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound or if he was shot by a Seattle police officer. Just before 5 a.m., 3 officers responded to a domestic violence 911 call. Chief Sean Barnes says the female victim ran into those officers' arms.
One officer did return fire while the other 2 officers evacuated the victim who had been shot.
Hours after failed attempts to negotiate with the 53-year-old suspect, a SWAT team entered the house and found him dead. The victim is in stable condition. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
And a second officer-involved shooting happened in the Rainier Valley neighborhood at Pritchard Island Beach this morning. A domestic violence suspect fired at an officer who was unhurt. Police then deployed a taser on the man. They say the man then fired more shots. Stan says after he heard the shots, he stayed in bed and watched.
No. I wasn't getting in the middle of none of that.
Police say the man jumped into Lake Washington and eventually gave himself up. Well, Washington's in a bit of a gas price category all by itself, and it's not a good place to be.
I'm Charlie Harger. According to the Center Square, we are the only state in the country where prices are up from last year at this time. Drivers here are paying $4.43 a gallon. The rest of the country, just $3.22 on average. Experts say refinery issues in California are part of it. Washington's cap-and-trade program and new gas tax are adding pressure. That tax goes up 6 cents per gallon on July 1st.
Now to the weather forecast brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A few showers today. We've got widespread rain starting tomorrow. Highs both days only right around 60. So this is, of course, the first day of summer. And the nice summer weather we've been having. Decided to take a few days off, but it will return Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, especially when we'll have highs in the mid-70s to low 80s. Right now in downtown Seattle, we've got 62 and mostly cloudy. I'm Tom Hutler, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Greg Tomlin and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show on this wonderful Friday. Well, summer is in full effect for a lot of students, kids all around the Northwest. Some people, this is their last day, however, on Friday. And Angela, I don't know about you. Are your kids grown? Are they out of the house? Or?
I have one who's still home.
Okay.
And the other one is in college, but she's back home.
Okay, right on. So I've got a 14-year-old, 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and it never fails. Every time of year, this time of year, we think, oh, we're so ready for summer. It's going to be so exciting. And you guys did such hard work all year, and it's going to be sweet relief. And then we wake up the next day and it's like all of us have cabin fever.
Right.
It's like the next day. And so today was no different. We all wake up. They're still on school's time. So it's like around 7 in the morning. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, we're all in the same room together and we all want to be doing something different. And the kids just go at each other's throats. And we're thinking, okay, we need a plan for the next 2.5 months. We got to get them out of the house. I don't know where. We got to get them moving. But we are definitely not going to be doing the I'm fixed on a screen for 8 hours a day because there's an abundance of research that shows that is deleterious for children. And so there's this corresponding story here in the Seattle Times. A Seattle area costly childcare strains family budgets during summer break, and they profile this parent of a child who talks about sending their kid to summer camp because they work, but even then it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it's just getting harder and harder to make ends meet. What did you do in the summers where you had kids kind of around the elementary school level, junior high, high school?
When they were really young, we relied on summer camps, but at the time I had a really good job. And it was expensive. I mean, it was even back then, 10 years ago, these camps were running $400 a week. Eventually, when I, went to actually left my job so that I could, tend to some family issues and couldn't afford those summer camps anymore. You know what saved me? You know what saved us? The Boys and Girls Club. And the Boys and Girls Club is a life preserver for a lot of families. And so I think it's so important when we can support nonprofits who are there because it's not going to cost you that much to have your kid there for summer. And what's awesome is they would take them on field trips. They had activities.
At the Boys and Girls Club?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
See, pardon my ignorance on this because I grew up playing in sports teams that use the Boys and Girls Clubs, and my kids currently do that too. But I'm actually pretty naive about other activities they do beyond just hosting.
They had everything planned, and they were also just such a resource when school would get out. If you're, working a 9 to 5 job, you weren't there to pick your kids up when they got out of school, so they would actually get the kids and take them back to the club. So I honestly don't know what I would have done without them. Because the staying home alone is not good before a certain age.
Yes.
And the thing is, you want to honor this thing of boredom. Like, I still remember being bored in the summer, and that was a good thing. But now there's just too much they can access.
Oh, let's get into that for a moment. Boredom. Because I already heard that this morning. I'm bored. I'm like, hey, it's June 20th here. We got to make it to like September 1st. You are not bored. And what are things that we can be empowered with as parents to counter the boredom complex? Because there's no shortage of digital tools that will cure that boredom for them. But like I previously stated, usually ends up being more harmful when used at great lengths of time. So I think we need to make boredom great again. Because it forces them to be creative or inventive or to do something like start drawing or go play outside or find a neighborhood kid. So it's like you stated, lean into that boredom a little bit and think of that boredom as a good thing, not as an ill to be cured with the closest glowing rectangle you have in your house.
Yeah. You know what my mom used to tell me as a kid, and this, I don't know if this is a Southern thing, but this is what she said. If you said you were bored, they would go, "Do you need something to do?"
I'll give you something to do.
Oh, yes. And it became a chore. You did not. Have you heard that saying before, Laura?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's like a trap for kids to fall into.
Don't say it.
Do you need something to do? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be the worst thing. Also at part-time jobs, do you need something to do? You're just standing around. Go clean the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's what Google AI says. First, empathize. That's too bad. Being bored can be frustrating. It's no fun when you don't know what to do. But even then, I think that's a better solution than, here, take this phone. Because you're just sort of empathizing. You're like, oh, darn, you're bored? That's a bummer. That's no fun. And then you just let it hang.
Yeah.
And then make them come up with something to do. The second thing Google AI says is, I'm sure you can think of something fantastic. I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Ooh.
I like that.
I like that it gives them
prompt.
responsibility. It gives them responsibility.
Ownership, like, whoa, it's exciting then because the possibilities are endless. What are you going to do with that?
I really like that.
And then lastly, let's make a list of fun things you can do when you're bored. Then you can choose one from the jar. My kids wouldn't be into that.
You know what? Actually, though, I was a summer nanny for many years, and that was my biggest back pocket strategy. Was at the very beginning of the summer, we would make a huge list together, me and the kids, of all the things we wanted to do, all the places we wanted to go, and there's variety. Some things were a little more adventurous, like let's go to the International District and try dim sum, and other things were like picking fruit at the park down the street, off of the fig trees, like something we could just do on the fly, no planning. And then when they were bored, I'd say, let's consult the list. What do you guys want to do? And then they would pick off the list. And then,
Genius.
And then
Everyone's going to try to hire you now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
hey,
That was
this
very
producer
convincing.
thing doesn't work out. Like
Yes.
Laura is the kind of,
I was very competitive at the time.
I so appreciate the caregivers because like all that stuff on Google AI sounds great. But if you are like stressed and tired, which if you're the parent of young children, you probably are, you're rushing out the door. I'm not in that moment going to think of all these perfect things to say.
Yes.
So I love it when caregivers that is their job, right, to care for the kids, and they have, creative ideas like these. I never forget one of them, Patty's her name. When the kids were bored, they created a musical and they had a set and they had to write a script and they had to
Nice.
Yeah, just create a play. And I was like, that's really good.
I think I fall into the trap of a parent with my kids in wanting to fix the problem instead of empowering them to fix it. You know what I mean? Because if they come to me with, Dad, I don't want to do this or whatever, I'll go, here's the solution. Now I command you go out and do it, as opposed to that sort of way of getting them to critically think about their condition, which is like, how do you plan on solving this? Like, I'm not the one to make it easy for all of us and more comfortable and to solve your problems, because eventually you send that kid out into the world and they're used to turning to mom and dad and them having all the answers or the solutions for a given situation, as opposed to, well, now I'm out on my own, but I've spent a lifetime at my house with my parents getting me to critically think about how to solve things. But that's harder to do and it takes more time. So it's like the analogy is getting the kids to do the dishes, which always seems like a fight in our household. And especially if they're very young, it's not fun or expedient to do dishes with our 8-year-old. It actually takes 4 times longer. But we're making that trade-off of this little sacrifice of time and annoyance that it takes to do the dishes with my 8-year-old will pay off when they're 16, 20, 25, and then in a dorm room when they're doing dishes, because they'll have been used to doing it for so long. I could get it accomplished in 3 minutes. It's going to take us together 9 minutes. But the cost-benefit analysis is like the momentary pain for that long-term gain.
Have you ever had those moments where there's something you've heard before, advice, and you've heard it over and over, but then one person says it a certain way and it just feels like an aha? Like, that's what you just did to me. Like, all that stuff I knew, I've heard before, but the way you just phrased it, even though I know it, I realize there are things I'm doing right now that I'm like, I need to step back and empower them.
Yes.
Empower
and
them.
You can hint at certain things, or like give them some choices, or like, here's what some people do in that situation, or I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm excited to see what you come up with, and then you can work with their theories or proposals and kind of craft them a little bit. But okay. So this is a perfect springboard into our next topic, Angela, of teen social media ban is moving closer in Australia after a tech trial. I'm actually seeing stuff like this happen all over the world. There's sort of a domino effect in a recognition of how harmful using social media can be for kids, especially under the age of 16. I think America is going to be late in the game on this one because of how paramount freedom of speech is to the American way of life. Like, UK doesn't have First Amendment, Australia doesn't have the First Amendment, and so on and so forth. And so that creates some challenges, perhaps in a good way, whenever an issue of speech kind of comes into the legal realm. So a lot of European countries and our neighbors in the outback are rushing headlong into banning it. I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. I think it's long overdue because of the abundance of research showing that kids using social media increases depression, anxiety, isolation, suicidal ideation, sexploitation, on and on and on. I actually think they're putting a phone with apps that know no bounds in the hands of a 13-year-old. The first generation of users, I think, could claim ignorance, but now the data is in. And I think it's 20 times worse than handing a kid a pack of cigarettes. 20 times worse. Where do you fall on this?
Oh, I feel the same. I delayed as long as I could.
Delay is the way.
Yeah, the age that they're looking at in Australia, or they've identified, is the age of 16. And there were some teens who were saying, well, we're just going to find ways around it. And, okay, then find ways around it. Just because you can find a way around it doesn't mean I'm not going to establish the rule or the boundary. I mean, that's like saying, well, they're going to get alcohol anyway, so we're just going to allow God, you got to put the boundary up. So you can say that if you want to. What was interesting about this particular, they called it a trial. They were testing what software would work that these platforms could use to detect whether someone was a young person. And I guess they tested like more than 60 types of software. And without going into like boring details, it sounds like they found it is possible. And they said for the tech companies, this was a blow because now other countries might look at Australia and say, ooh, because, look at all of these consequences that have emerged due to this. I mean, you talk about the skincare routines that teen girls are having now. They're getting all this stuff.
Yeah, at about 9 and 10 years old, they're going through like skincare routines, which is so depressing to me. But it's because of what they've seen online, and they're getting a false impression of what true and real beauty is, and they're consuming these videos by the thousands on a daily basis. It's very eerie. If you ever get a kid who has unbridled access to a smartphone, who's between the ages of like 9 and 14, just look over their shoulder at what they're looking at. And the amount of times they're just flicking through TikTok of just absolute nonsense videos and weird and bizarre stuff, all of those images are getting imprinted and ingrained on their brains and rewiring how they're processing the world around them. It's creating misconceptions of how they look, how people are supposed to act in social situations, and so on and so forth. And it's led to a mental health crisis that is undeniable. And I'm so glad that countries like the UK and Australia is taking this seriously. Gosh, I wish Donald Trump would enforce that TikTok ban. I know it was banned for security reasons, but they're delaying and now until September for selfish reasons because Trump thinks TikTok helped him win the election. But Congress has to get together on a bipartisan basis on Capitol Hill and pass some legislation protecting our kids.
This is what will save us. We need a movement from the teenagers to basically say, you know what, we're going to put it down. I want to say I've already started to see these grassroots organizations started by teens. I want to say there was one in New York, and I forgot what they called themselves. Basically, they were a no-phone club at school. They were a small club, but they were mighty. And some kids deciding they're going to take back control.
Well, what's the most effective thing with teenagers? It's peer pressure. So like with our daughter, we've given her extremely limited access to her phone. And in some ways, it's been very difficult for her because she probably has the most regulations and guidelines when it comes to what apps she can have and so on and so forth. But we try to tell her, like, Penny, like, you should be creating a stigma within your friend groups about people that are constantly just staring at those phones. Yeah, and peer pressure can be used for positive ways. Like, hey, that's not cool. Like, dude, put the phone away. What are you doing? We're all here at this party at the pool or this summer. Like, put that away. Like, you can start to gain momentum in that direction if we all start to sense, oh, yeah, okay, a little bit of stigma on the phone addiction is not a bad thing for society, especially young people.
You know what else I worry about? When you talked about that, you said to look over the shoulder of a teen and look at what they're consuming. And it made me think of that old adage that you are what you eat. Yes. You know, the idea that you're taking this in and it's shaping who you are.
Garbage in, garbage out.
That nurture piece, like how we talk. Like, is it a wonder the kids these days, oh my gosh, they curse more? Then, well, maybe you don't know this because you don't live in the world I'm in. Laura, I'll turn to the young. Have you noticed your delegation? Jesus, like your delegation in this
My
age
delegation.
group. Y'all curse a lot more.
Potty mouths.
Oh, yeah. No, that's so true. And I grew up not being allowed to swear at all in high school or college in front of my mom. But I think as a society, we've kind of relaxed our standards around it. Like now I swear in front of her.
Yeah,
fairly regularly, and she doesn't care and swears in front of me. I don't know. It just feels like it's become more part of our kind of daily vernacular.
Language. I mean, I go to shows now and I just hear they just dropping F-bombs and it's not even a thing. It's been, and again, you know what? We're in Seattle. For all I know, we could go visit another city and we might be like, well, have you gone to other places? Is this like happening all over the country? Do you know?
I see it a lot on TikTok. And social media. And I actually always have to really carefully watch videos or audio that we're doing for the show because I'm so worried that even in the most benign video where someone's talking about ordering pizza from a local place or what have you.
They're cursing.
They're going to curse. They'll be like, this is so good. And then just feel like they need to add that level. Although I do think that I used to edit the humor column for my student newspaper in college. Mm-hmm. And people would always submit articles with swear words in them, and it's just not creative. You could have, Spike says clam dip all the time, which I think is a great one and goes so much further than any traditional not safe for radio word you could say about someone,
Angela, I want to return to what you said about how the things we consume to some degree become a part of us, whether we know it or not. This is so apropos because I just had this conversation with our oldest kid last week. They were trying to make the case that they should be able to consume a certain piece of art that was out there. And let's just say it was a 2-hour production of something.
Okay.
And I sort of researched it and I was like, I don't know if my 14-year-old is ready to see that and become a big fan of it because everything we consume has some kind of agenda, ideology, or something. It's trying to convince you of something. It's trying to convince you of what is beautiful or what is good and what is pure and what is worth dwelling on, things like that. And she was trying to make the case to me, Dad, don't you trust me? You often say, Dad, I'm wise beyond my years.
That's a good move. That's a good move.
And I was like, okay, all right. She's trying to 4D chess this one a little bit, but it's a convincing argument of Dad, don't you think I'm mature enough to view something like that and not internalize every part of it or know what are the good parts of it and what are the parts I should reject?
How did you respond?
I said, well stated, but I said, even your mother and I avoid certain things, even though we're now in our 40s and even more mature than you, because at some point a certain dynamic takes shape to where the things you are dwelling on, whether you know it or not, slowly become a part of you over time. And the more you consume of these things, the more they become more palatable and more agreeable and more persuasive in you. And so especially at the age of 14, yes, I can trust you. I agree that you are wise beyond your years, but you also got to recognize human brains aren't even done forming till they're 24, 25. And you might not be able to process these things on a level that you think you are. And your mother and I know better, and you got to trust us in this instance. When you're 18 and out of this house, it's totally up to you then. But until then, you got to go by our rules, and you got to hope that we love you as much as we say we do, and you can trust us as much as you think you can. So
you just need a parenting podcast with some great alliteration. That's what I say.
I'm a sucker for good alliteration.
By the way, to help, Julie in Snoqualmie says to read The Anxious Generation. She said it's really good.
I've read it cover to cover. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. Greg Tomlin, Angela Poe Russell in on KIRO Radio. We'll be right back on the Jake and Spike Show.
This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's Doctors King and Kopstein from K2 Vision. If you're at the stage where you need readers, whether you've had LASIK or not, it may be time to consider K2 Vision RLE. I tell my King LASIK patients, laser vision correction won't solve the eventual need for reading glasses due to an aging, dysfunctional lens.
But K2 Vision RLE will. It's not a question of if your lens becomes dysfunctional, it's when. At that point, you'll need reading glasses and could benefit from refractive lens exchange, a permanent solution to distance, intermediate, and near vision problems. In other words, no glasses, no contacts, and no readers.
And no cataracts.
Exactly. After K2 Vision RLE, you will never develop a cataract.
K2 Vision RLE is quick and painless.
And because we performed over 100,000 procedures and followed the outcomes, we have the experience to know if RLE is right for you.
Schedule your free Zoom consultation today at K2VisionRLE.com and let's get your vision feeling young again, permanently.
Go to K2VisionRLE.com.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, windows can be one of the best investments you can make to add value to your home. At Dunn Lumber, we have designated Marvin window specialists who have been trained by Marvin to best serve your needs. If you need help finding the right windows for your home, come by one of our 4 Dunn Lumber window showrooms. Or reach out to me personally, Mike Dunn at DunnLumber.com.
Dunn Lumber, building success together.
Hey guys, it's Keith Dashafee from Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington, and we are not done celebrating 100 years of industry leadership. For a limited time, get $100 off every window, $100 off every door, or choose 60 months of 0% financing with no interest and equal payments. That's right, 100 years strong, and we're giving you more ways to save on the Pella difference. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaPNW.com. Thank you again for letting us serve you in the Northwest.
Hey, it's Joe at Town & Country Markets. The local June-bearing strawberries are here now, and they're not going to be here for very long. They eat like $1 million, so don't wait too long because it'll be over before you know it. You're going to love every bite.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Hutler. President Trump continues to weigh whether or not to join Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities. CBS's Linda Kenyon with the story.
President Trump says the clock is ticking for Iran to give up its nuclear program.
Giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
Speaking to reporters in New Jersey, the president said he's not looking for war, but he will take steps if he must.
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't mean sometimes you need some toughness to make peace.
And that means using bunker buster bombs, which Israel does not have, in order to take out Iran's underground nuclear facilities. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Pierce County authorities seized a significant amount of drugs after a deadly crash involving a motorcycle late yesterday afternoon. 911 callers said the motorcyclist was weaving in and out of traffic in the Summit area, and when another driver made a left turn on Vickery at 104th, the motorcycle crashed into her vehicle. Pierce County Sheriff's Deputy Carly Capetto says the rider was killed.
The female driver was distraught and emotional. You know, she remained on scene and she was cooperative, had no idea what had just happened.
She will not face charges. It's not clear if the motorcyclist was impaired at the time, but deputies say he had a backpack on him that was full of drugs, including a large block of crystal meth and more than 200 fentanyl pills. A Mariner catcher, Cal Raleigh, continued to make his bid for an All-Star Game spot, perhaps even the MVP award, as he cracked 2 more home runs today, his 28th and 29th, at Wrigley Field to lead the Mariners to a 9-4 win over the Chicago Cubs. He was the designated hitter today. The backup catcher, Mitch Garver, also clubbed a pair of homers. They play Game 2 of the series in Chi-Town tomorrow at 11:20. You can hear it on our sister station, 710 Seattle Sports. Now to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, and this report brought to you by Closets by Design. 405 northbound, just north of State Route 169. A disabled vehicle blocks the right lane. Southbound I-5, the off-ramp to North 85th. A collision blocking the ramp. Also very slow I-5 southbound now just north of Pounders Corner down to almost DuPont. Drive times include 35 minutes from Seattle to Federal Way. It's a 93-minute slog from Tacoma to Olympia. 28 minutes from Bellevue to Renton. Lake Bridges pretty wide open now. There's some slowing as you get on to westbound 90 and as you come in on eastbound 520. And this traffic report brought to you by Custom Storage Solutions for closet, garages, home offices, and more. Go to closetsbydesign.com to see current specials or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to learn more. Now your weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A few showers today, widespread rain starting tomorrow. We should see a lot of rain tomorrow, about an 80% chance of getting wet, and then a little bit of rain left over for Sunday, but also some sunshine. And then we warm back up into the summertime style weather. 76 on Monday, 81 on Tuesday with mostly sunny skies. Right now, 62, mostly cloudy. I'm Tom Hutler, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Greg Tallman and Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike show. Wow, Angela, I don't know if you follow the M's, but 2 more dingers for the big dumper today.
Wow.
Try to decode what that means if you're not a baseball fan.
I'm sure my husband's like, Angela, don't let me down.
Okay,
don't let me down.
Yes. Always great to see the M's get a win at historic Wrigley Field,
Okay,
too.
so they won at Wrigley Field. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else I should know about that phrase you used?
No. Cal Raleigh is known as the big dumper. He's the catcher for the Mariners, and he's on a tear this year. I don't know if it's because he switched to the torpedo bat or because he got a big fat contract as the season began, but you love to see it, and it'd be nice to get the Mariners back on track here on this road trip that they're currently on, and they're off to a good start.
Okay, excellent. Well, shall I throw this question out? I've been waiting to ask you all this. Feel free to text 888-973-5476. Should irresponsible hikers be billed for their rescue? That's a headline coming from the Los Angeles Times. And what triggered this is there is a sheriff in Washington State from Skamania County. Her name is Summer Shire, I think elected or appointed. I'm not sure which one they do, but she's the sheriff, been there since 2023. And she says we have to do something to recoup the cost of what these rescues cost us. Right now, they say the average rescue runs between 3 and 9 hours. And in some cases, now going outside of Washington, just zooming out from a national perspective, a rescue could cost you well over $100,000.
Oof.
So I bring the question to you guys. Like, when should a person who needs rescue be asked to pay what it costs for their rescue?
I love this outside the box thinking, and believe it or not, I've been advocating this for years because in the news business, inevitably there's a story maybe per month of some hiker or some adventurist or some whitewater rafter that needs rescuing. And it, like you said, takes hours and hours, can sometimes cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the rescuers are risking their own lives sometimes to get these people out of these situations. And then I would always ask the question in retrospect, where's all this money coming from to save these people who in some instances you just want to let the Darwin Awards play out a little bit? Not in every case, but in some. And it's got to be taxpayer money, right? Where the rescue effort's coming from? It's because money with these police departments and law enforcement and first responder departments and things like that. It's totally wrong. And there needs to be some kind of ordinance set up to where it's going to make people think twice about like, maybe I shouldn't go kayaking alone down a stage 5 rapid in the Northwest here because it could cost me a nickel and a dime, so to speak.
And I think that you raise a good point that we should talk about, because how do we define reckless? For some people, this is just part of an adventure and lots of people do it safely. If maybe you're doing something that most people, we're always going to be in most when it comes to big adventure. But let's say you're doing something that it is said on paper, do not do this, and you do it, then I think it gets to that stage of charging the fee. But if it's one of those things where, okay, this is high risk, but people do it, I don't know. To me, that's a little tricky. So here's where I see it a little differently. I think instead of paying for the rescue, there should just be a really expensive fine, like a $5,000 fine. Because how do people even pay back $100,000? But a $5,000 fine, $10,000 might be big enough to.
Oh, I see. And it would serve as a big enough deterrent to where people there wouldn't be as many rescue efforts that take place.
That's what I hope. But that might be a place to start because I want to give people grace. I mean, I came very close to needing some kind of rescue years ago out hiking with my kids, and one of my kids ran off. And I had a toddler and one a little bit older, and my older one just shut off and turned a corner. I could have been that. Oh, yeah, and traumatized.
Right.
And so I want to leave enough grace for people who make mistakes when they're out there.
But I mean, the law always has these gray areas. We talked about it with Denny Blaine Park before. Like, okay, I didn't know you actually have the right to walk around naked in Seattle. But then if it crosses over into lewd behavior, it's totally illegal and shunned and frowned upon. It's like, okay, but where's that standard? Is it community standards? What you think is lewd might not be what I think is lewd, and so on and so forth. And so what might the court of law deem as a reasonable risk or something that's negligent or just outright careless, and you kind of have to go on a case-by-case basis there. The devil might be in the details. In New Hampshire, the state says people may be required to pay back costs to rescue them if they need services. One way to avoid such charges is buying a, quote, hike safe card. It'd be $25 per person, $35 per family, and that supports the state's search and rescue efforts. So then that would be a little bit of almost like an insurance system that like everybody's paying paying into. And then the dummies who get lost and need rescuing would tap into that big pool of money. Is that just?
I feel some kind of way about that, because then you're charging people for the few that are not being responsible. So I appreciate that we're coming up with solutions. I don't want to completely just say, I hate that idea. But I like the idea of them having a really expensive fine. Now, we had someone from 206 text in, and they made a really good point. They said, yes, because in this state, many of the rescuers are volunteering. They're a volunteer search team, some of them. So to your point, Greg, you made earlier, they may be putting their lives at risk. And so there's the financial piece, but then there's just, this is putting us in harm's way.
The closest I get to being an adventurist is taking the family on a 1-mile hike up to Franklin Falls
I
near
love
Snoqualmie
Franklin
Pass.
Falls.
Isn't it gorgeous? It's a great little hike, too. There's enough incline to where you're getting a bit of a workout, too. Yeah. But it's not something I think I'll ever, knock on wood, need rescuing from anytime soon. How about you? At any point in your life, were you rappelling off cliffs or Mount Rainier or jumping over big crevices?
I'm pretty adventurous, but my husband takes it to the next level.
For real?
For example, we will whitewater raft, but he's that person that will do the raft over the waterfall, but with a group. It's still with a guide, but we got out and observed. We didn't do it. Yeah, I was going to say, I want to ask Laura this question, but just want to say Todd and Burien, he said your idea was kind of like the Discovery Pass card, but the Discovery Rescue card.
Yeah, right. But as you pointed out so rightly, it would be tough for the people that just want to get out there to enjoy the cool, crisp air every once in a while and have to pay for the knuckleheads that are having to get rescued. What about you, Laura?
Well, Scott from Tacoma brought up a really interesting idea. He said there's a beach somewhere that has a really steep bank, like a dune, and signs warning that rescue is $3,000. And I think this is in Michigan. The dunes go straight down to the water, and it's very easy to slide down, but extremely difficult to crawl up. And when I was there, we decided not to go down because of the sign.
$3,000.
Yeah,
yes.
They were like, well, okay, so maybe signposts like this activity is inherently dangerous. If you insist on doing it, just know that this is kind of what the cost will be if we need to come help you.
I love that. Do you like that too?
Yeah.
Consensus.
Greg Tomlin, Angela Poe Russell in on the Jake and Spike Show. Stick around. We'll be right back on this busy Friday afternoon. KIRO 97.3 FM.
KIRO News Radio, the Northwest's trusted news source.
Get the latest from KIRO News Radio's James Lynch.
It happened Wednesday morning just after 6 o'clock.
Experienced voices you trust.
Several people hurt after a violent Saturday in Pierce County.
Coverage you depend on.
More from KIRO News Radio's Matt Markovich.
It's as close to a veto warning as you could possibly get.
KIRO News Radio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM. This is a test of your emergency alert system.
Homeowners, protect your biggest investment now with Integrity Roofing and Construction. Get ahead of the summer rush. Integrity, your family-owned, award-winning roofing and construction company, is ready to give your home the protection it deserves. Integrity offers a complete in-house construction division for all your projects. Integrity Roofing is known for top-notch service and on-site project management, making the process easy. Beat the summer rush and call Integrity today for a free estimate at 206-202-ROOF or online at integrityrc.com. That's integrityrc.com.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic is your best plan for long-term well-being and personalized health care. Dr. Mixon, let me ask you a question. How long have some of your patients been working with you?
We've got patients now that have been with us for over 20 years that are in their 90s who came to us in their 60s. The grandparents now in their 90s are living independently. They're not on walkers, they're not on canes, they're not headed for nursing homes.
I meet people and they ask about, wow, you're in great shape. You have 12% body fat and stuff. What's the secret? I said, it's not a secret. Longevity Medical Clinic has been there for 25 years. There is no secret to the fact that if you make those small changes, you avoid avoid the big, bad, horrible stuff that most of us just think, well, this is what's supposed to happen to me.
And if you're heading downhill and you don't change your direction, you're going to continue going downhill. And what we do at Longevity is we redirect you and we take you back up the hill.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Hey, Brock Ewart here with my buddy Dave Taylor from First Mark Insurance. You know, Dave, I love sport. You love sport. And I love sitting with coaches and hearing their game plan each and every week. What are the keys to a First Mark Insurance game plan?
It's a great question, Brock. I think there's really 3 keys to a great game plan with us. Number 1 is we want to make sure that our clients have the correct coverage for their unique specific needs. So that's number 1. Do you have the right coverage? Number 2, once we have the right coverage, are we getting that coverage at the most competitive price possible? And then last and not least would be, once we have the right coverage at the most competitive price, are we providing world-class service to those customers so that when they need it, they have someone there that's got their back?
Those are the 3 keys to a First Mark Challenge victory. And man, am I so glad Molly and I took the challenge. We are one of so many through a decade plus of being a First Mark Challenge victory. You can too. Just simply go to firstmarkinsurance.com, firstmarkinsurance.com.
Do you notice sounds coming from your crawl space or attic, or possibly stale or foul odors in your home? This could be that rodents have gotten into your attic and crawl and have made it their home. They tear up the insulation to make nests to have babies. They contaminate it with their biological waste, which can be harmful to your health. And they ruin your home's energy blanket, costing you thousands of dollars a year. If you even think you may have a problem, call Insulation Northwest today, and we will come to your home as soon as tomorrow and perform a free, no-obligation inspection to determine what the problem is. This inspection normally costs $199, but it's yours free just for calling today. If we discover any problem with rodents in your home, we can get them out and keep them out and restore your home's protective insulation blanket back to brand new condition. Let Insulation Northwest give peace and comfort back to you and your family and save you thousands of dollars in energy savings. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com. Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Join the free smoothie party at Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Saturday, June 21st for National Smoothie Day. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie with bowl or food purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
Seahawks training camp, powered by Boeing, is back at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, July 23rd through August 12th. Take in stunning lakeside views, grab autographs from your favorite players, and let the kids join in on pre-practice football drills and more. Register now at Seahawks.com/training camp.
Roof now, pay later. No payments until 2027. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Since 1968, we've helped homeowners just like you get beautiful, durable roofs without breaking the bank. Book today and lock in summer pricing before it's too late. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Going from 80s pop to hardcore to indie rock. Andrew, you all over the place, and I love it. It's the eclectic mix on the Jake and Spike Show today.
That's what I go for.
Well done, sir. Right up my alley. All right, it's time to read your texts at 1-888-973-5476. Greg and Angela Poe Russell in for the Jake and Spike Show. Laura, get us started.
206 says, on Greg and Angela, great chemistry today. I really enjoy each of you separately, so it's fun to hear you together.
Oh, that's nice.
I could have written that. Oh, my gosh.
And to add to that, Ed and Ballard says, great show today. Angela and Greg are a good pairing. Laura is fabulous, as usual, with a smiley face emoji. Have a wonderful weekend all.
Nice. On the prior arrest record of the driver who drove off the Edmonds Ferry dock, 206 says, this is what gets me about the 3 strikes you're out. That's too harsh. So if you have 2 felony strikes against you, wouldn't logic tell you not to do a third? But no, we're like, well, let's let them have a 3rd strike because, people can't control themselves. He had nothing to say.
On celebrating Juneteenth, Goodfellas is shouting out how the little, very woke community of Vashon does its tributes to Black history and culture, and for Indigenous peoples as well. It's 365 days around with anti-racism and abolition groups meeting weekly to stop hate. Our museum even did an LGBTQ plus display, and the Audubon group dropped his name from the birdwatching group upon hearing his racist views. Vashon walks its talk.
Okay.
And on the subject of the musical Angela saw and loved last night, Sharon in Olympia says the musical play here and there. Another shining example of why I enjoy this radio station so very much. Greg stating his feelings about trans, non-binary, etc., and asking Angela to help explain the play, not either one being critical or being put down or arguing, just a nice conversation, respectful. I love that. I probably could have worded this text differently, but my almost 64-year-old brain, 18 days left of being 63, yikes, is not cooperating. Well, we understood fully what you said, Sharon, and thanks for the sentiment.
Yes, and happy early birthday. Okay, on the shortage of cherry pickers, B in Puyallup, any able-bodied person receiving state benefits should be required to work at these farms 3 times a week.
Elliot on a ship in Texas says, the Matt rhymes with hat, and then it's like Omaha. So Mattawa.
Mattawa. Okay,
Mattawa.
Thank you.
Okay,
Grammar police. Here we go. From the 425, the fact that people are struggling financially right now is besides the point. That shouldn't encourage us to pay slave labor to illegal immigrants. That's like saying you should be able to steal things from grocery stores if you can't afford to buy them.
Okay, Dave says, how about we use the homeless to pick the cherries? Give them a place to live on the orchard, put in services for drugs and mental health, let them work to get help and get out of the situation they're in.
Dave's thinking outside the box. I like it. Go ahead, Laura.
360 says, make it a you pick. Charge people to pick their own cherries, like apples or strawberries. It's a fun family outing.
That's what it is. Vicky says, well, it's good policy to stop illegal immigrants from entering the U.S. The tone-deaf, sledgehammer, and clueless approach of Trump et al. Is clearly rudderless. When I see et al., am I supposed to pronounce something else?
Great question.
Okay. Moving on.
I'm a white privileged woman.
Oh, that's the same text.
Oh, same text. My bad. I missed.
Let's just move on. On Amazon demanding people to move back to city hubs, Thomas in the 206 says, I've moved twice for a job over 1,400 miles and doing it on under 60 days with a family of 3.
Rex in Gig Harbor writes in, anything younger than Gen X worry about every single little thing and stress about stuff that we Gen X just don't worry about. Something happens, you just do it.
As a Gen Xer, I relate to that. On the end of Bartell, say it ain't so. Joel in Big Lake, Bartell Drugs always sponsored the Lawrence Welk Show on PBS, so that's why I used to shop there. I'm sad to see what's happening.
Jesus says they were bought by private equity and saddled with debt.
Goodfellas writes in, love Bartells. I'm a lifelong resident. Hate these big corporations pushing out the neighborhood biz.
425, they had the best shakes in the basement cafe. I did not know that was a thing.
No, I didn't either.
Okay, bye Bartell. Local stuff keeps fading away.
On curing summer boredom for kids, 360 says, thank you. You have confirmed that I am not alone. I totally agree with bring boredom back. There are so many quality activities for the younger generation to do. Get the fantasy world out and enjoy the time learning true-to-life skills and values.
Rich in Gig Harbor, if you can lean, you can clean. That phrase will haunt me forever.
Oh, Sue in Cedar River, I gave mine a couple of math problems daily and said, look up a word to improve your vocabulary. And yes, I suggest they create a list. They like your idea, Laura. Post it on the fridge and put a check when an item is done.
Love it. Tamara in Tacoma says, great parenting advice. I work at a college, and it's so often we see students can't do the very basics of figuring out how to apply. And many have their parents come in, and the parents do all the talking.
Oh, I heard from a college professor that it's not even uncommon for students on campus to call their parents to consult them about how to order a pizza.
What?
I'm like, we need to get these kids up to speed a little faster with regular everyday occurrences. Tyler in Seattle, I bet if a teen started the No Phone nonprofit, they definitely get into that college. LOL.
On swearing, Jamestown, as an adult working customer service, swearing is not advised. However, there are moments where unconventional language, not necessarily vulgar or explicit, is appreciated by the client who feels that who they're working with may not be actually human. Let me tell you how real I am, okay?
And Janet from Brooklyn says, yeah, people need to start watching their G-ding language.
Laura, thank you so much. What a pleasure it's been.
So fun.
Thanks for steering the ship in the right direction today. Angela, what a privilege and a gift it was to chat with you, get to know you more, and talk about news and events today. I had a blast.
I had a wonderful time with you, and now that I know that you can sing, you are in trouble, dude.
We'll see about that.
There you go.
Give me some auto-tune next time. KIRO Radio, Jake and Spike Show. Guys will be back soon. Thank you, Andrew. I see Nate Connors at the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desks. Have a great one all. Happy Friday.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery.